Chapter 12-14. Mom. Who would do something like that? Mo Zichen reminded quietly. Qianlan's face immediately turned red. Auntie can make the decision. Did you see that? Tongning nodded her head in satisfaction as she looked at her son. Don't go home and tell everyone that I want to get married. Show me what you've got. Mom. That's enough. I won't joke with you anymore. Leave first. I want to talk to Qianlan in private. Tongning said as she pointed to the door with her chin. Mom. Leave, it's not like Auntie is going to eat me up, Qianlan urged. I want to talk to Auntie in private. Mo Zichen did not say another word as he nodded his head and left. At this time, Tongning stood up and closed the door before she sat down on the sofa and said to Qianlan. Of course, her expression was no longer as friendly as before. Qianlan. Auntie, please speak. I've known about you and Zichen since 5 years ago, Tongning said. For 5 years you've been hurting my son. It wasn't easy for him to return to normal, but I never expected that you would appear in front of him again. Auntie. Qianlan looked at Tongning in surprise. Tell me, what do you want in exchange for leaving my son? You should know what I'm capable of. As long as I want something to be done, there's nothing I can't accomplish. Tongning looked at Qianlan coldly. As long as you're willing to leave my son and not hurt him again, you can name whatever you want. Otherwise, I will destroy the Qian family's reputation, and you will also lose your military status. Qianlan never expected the friendly Tongning's words to be so hurtful and threatening. This made Qianlan extremely afraid. Auntie. Make your choice. Do you want to continue to pester Mo Zichen, or do you want to back out? Tongning asked firmly. Qianlan lowered her head and took a deep breath. After a few seconds, she finally said to Tongning, Auntie, I know I hurt Zichen in the past, but I really regret not insisting on being together with Zichen. I also know that I may be very annoying to you because I hurt your son's heart. I am aware of Hairue's capabilities and I am aware of your capabilities. I also know that no matter how hard I struggle, I will never be able to defeat the two of you. But, even if that's the case, I still want to stay by Zichen's side. Can I? Even if my reputation is ruined, even if I lose my military status, I still want to stay by Zichen's side because I promised him. As Qianlan spoke, tears rolled down her cheeks. No matter how difficult it is, this time, I want to give it a try, until I can't persevere anymore. After hearing Qianlan's answer, Tongning's brows relaxed and her expression relaxed. Although the Mo family does not bully our own people, let me be frank with you today. I hope what happened 5 years ago will be the last time. If you and my son really want to be together, you must be prepared to face any difficulties. If you give up halfway again, I will personally stop you at all costs. After hearing this, Qianlan asked in disbelief, Auntie, what do you mean? Do you really think I'm an evil mother-in-law? I simply want to know if you'll give up on my son so easily. I'm sorry, Auntie. There's nothing you should be sorry about. The only people you should be sorry to are yourself and Zichen, Tongning sighed. Ting and I haven't really disciplined Zichen since he was young. He's always had his own opinions, but when it comes to relationships, he's just a normal person. As a mother, I simply hope that you can treat him well. I will, Qianlan said confidently. This time I won't give up so easily. 5 years ago, Mo Zichen liked Qianlan's ordinary heart. But now he only wanted Qianlan as a person. Tongning actually had a lot to say to Qianlan, but she was afraid that Qianlan would think that her future mother-in-law was too long-winded. Young people had their own way of doing things. So Tongning decided that since she was already here, she should trust Qianlan for once. So after leaving behind a few autographs, she left the hospital. What did my mom say to you? She threatened me. If I don't treat you well, she said that she would do everything she could to stop us. Qianlan replied honestly. I was really scared, but it only lasted for a few seconds before I made up my mind. No matter what happens in the future, I will never give up on our relationship. We've already missed out on enough in the past 5 years. After saying this, Mo Zichen suddenly knelt down in front of Qianlan and held her hand in his. Qianlan, I don't want us to miss out on anything else. So will you marry me? Who proposes without even having a ring? Qianlan asked as she hit him. If you're with me, you won't get a ring or a flower. In fact, no one will even know that we're husband and wife. That's the only way you'll be safe. Even if that's the case, will you still marry me? Qianlan knew that Mo Zichen's identity was special, and it wasn't easy to publicize it. So even though he was Tongming and Mo Ting's son, not many people knew about his true identity. Will you marry me? Qianlan covered her face and nodded her head. We might not even have a wedding. What does that matter? After all, the person I want to marry is you, Qianlan said as she held onto Mo Zichen's hand. Get up, I promise you. When it came to marriage, if they hadn't been apart for 5 years, the couple would have gotten married a long time ago. But it wasn't too late. Soon, Qianlan's body was almost fully recovered, and the military agreed to let her return home to recover. Once she was fully recovered, she would immediately return to the military. The day she returned home, Qianlan felt like the world had brightened up. But, to her surprise, Mo Zichen took her straight to Hyatt Regency. Hey, I'm still wearing my military uniform. Let's go see my father, Mo Zichen said as he sped up the car, not giving Qianlan a chance to regret her decision. After all, Mo Zichen had told everyone that he was taking his fiancée home. The entire Mo family was in an uproar, including Lin Qian and Long Jia. So as soon as Mo Zichen stepped through the front door and saw the house full of guests, he was a little surprised. But he quickly calmed down and led Qianlan over to the elders. Qianlan, there's no need for introductions, I know everyone here, Qianlan said confidently. After all, they were all famous people in the entertainment industry. Anyone who paid attention to the news would know who they were. When Long Jia saw this, she winked at Lin Qian. Did you see that? He's a soldier. Chapter 12:15. Zichen, can you beat her in a fight? Long Jie joked. Auntie Long, I'm shy. Mo Zichen immediately protected Qianlan and pretended to be weak. You're a teacher. Who knows how you're going to be punished when you get back to your room? Lin Qian teased. Auntie Lin, are you not going to let me off either? That's enough. Didn't you say you wanted to take Qianlan to your room? Go ahead. Yan Er will be back soon. I'll call you later, Tongming said. Mo Zichen nodded his head. His mother was still the best. He then led Qianlan upstairs to his room and closed the door. What's wrong? Don't you think you're in a gossip zone? Mo Zichen asked as he pulled Qianlan into his arms and pressed his nose against hers. Hey, we're at your home. Qianlan's face immediately turned red. We're both adults. Is there anything you don't understand? Mo Zichen took the opportunity to place a kiss on Qianlan's lips and gently nibble on them. Qianlan had never been kissed before. She was a complete novice. Under Mo Zichen's teasing, she quickly became aroused. Have you kissed a lot of women? Is that why you're so good at it? Don't you know how many women I've had? Some things are self-taught. Mo Zichen explained in a deep voice before he planted another passionate kiss on Qianlan's lips. This time, Qianlan was completely defenseless. In fact, she didn't even know when Mo Zichen had placed her on the bed. Hey, it's not convenient. Qianlan blocked Mo Zichen's hand. Mo Zichen gently pushed her hand away and held onto her waist. He then buried his head in her neck like he was restraining himself. If we were at home, I would definitely eat you up. Get up and tidy yourself up. Otherwise, you're going to be discovered. Mo Zichen did not refute as he stood up. At this time he noticed a red mark on Qianlan's neck. Of course, Qianlan didn't notice, but anyone with a discerning eye could immediately tell how it happened. Soon, Mo Zichen returned home after class. As soon as she stepped through the front door, she ran over to see her new sister-in-law. However, as soon as she knocked on Mo Zichen's door, she found the two inside looking quite awkward. Mo Zichen seemed to have understood something as she pointed at Mo Zichen and said, Brother too, I never expected you to be so passionate on the inside. Do you want me to show your parents the love letter in your book? You only know how to threaten me. Mo Zichen humphed before she looked at Qianlan. Seeing her in her military uniform, she suddenly understood why her elder brother was willing to stay in the army. Sister, can you lend me your uniform? Zichen. Mo Zichen immediately shouted. It's okay. I have an informal set in the military. If you like it, I'll have someone send it to you another day. After hearing Qianlan's words, Emozian raised her thumb. Good sister-in-law, you're smart. Since I've accepted your greeting gift, I won't make things difficult for you. Dad's back, hurry up and come down. Emozian nodded and gestured for her to leave with his chin. Emozian stuck out her tongue at the couple and quickly disappeared through the door. Seeing this, Qianlan couldn't help but sigh. Your sister is very cute. She's currently studying for her PhD and is very naughty. Emozian laughed before he said to Qianlan. Let's go downstairs and meet my father. Okay, Qianlan nodded, but she was a little afraid of this legendary big boss of the entertainment industry. Although Emo Ting's image was constantly seen on the media, Qianlan was still nervous to actually meet this legendary man. Emo Ting maintained his appearance well. Even at this moment, he still looked like a man in his early 40s. Time seemed to be taking care of the couple. Perhaps it was because of their love that they received the best nourishment every day. As the couple walked downstairs, Emo Ting was already sitting in the living room. Emozian held onto Qianlan's hand as he walked over and greeted. Dad, this is Qianlan. Emo Ting glanced at Qianlan and nodded his head. Good. Qianlan did not dare to look directly at Emo Ting because the big boss's presence was too strong. But what did he mean by good? Others might not understand, but Tongning and the others clearly understood. Emo Ting's very good meant that from now on, Tongning would no longer have to worry about Emozian. Because from now on, there would be someone else to replace Tongning. That's enough, it's just a meeting, there's no need to be so serious. Everyone, let's eat, Tongning said as she stepped out of the kitchen. At the same time, Qianlan noticed that Tongning looked at Emo Ting with an exceptionally gentle expression. After everyone sat down at the dining table, Tongning approached Emo Ting and helped him remove his jacket and open his briefcase. Does your neck still hurt? A little, Emo Ting replied. In that case, I'll help you massage it again tonight. Emo Ting nodded his head and placed a kiss on his wife's head while no one noticed. Qianlan had never seen a married couple so deeply in love. It was as if they were still young and loved each other as deeply as when they first met. What are you looking at? Emozian asked as he pinched Qianlan's nose. The relationship between your parents is just as the rumors say. The two of them have been stuck together for so many years. Neither of them can leave the other. I'm envious. Qianlan smiled at Emozian. I'm also by your side, Emozian whispered. At this time Long Jie suddenly sighed. If only Zishi was here. With Zishi here, your family would be complete. Forget it. Big brother is so busy with military affairs. I don't expect him to be here, Emozian complained. But now that brother too has a new sister-in-law, when will big brother get married? That night, Qianlan sat amongst the crowd and felt the warmth of the entire Emo family. Although Emo Ting was a strict man, she surprisingly had a good impression of her father-in-law. By the time they returned home, it was already 12 p.m. Qianlan originally planned to have a shower and go to bed. But as soon as she stepped through the front door, Emozian carried her in his arms and carried her into the bedroom. I told you if we were at home, I would eat you up. But I'm not ready yet, Qianlan said as she struggled. How much longer do you want me to wait? Emozian asked as he looked at Qianlan in seriousness. Qianlan's heart softened as she relaxed her grip. However, as Emozian placed her on the bed, she suddenly felt like crying. She was both excited and afraid of what was going to happen next, but because this person was Emozian, she felt like she was anticipating more. What was going to happen sooner or later. Chapter 12:16. A warm hand quickly ran across her stomach, and Qianlan felt her body go soft and sensitive. Zichen, relax, I won't bully you, Emozian whispered beside her ear. Qianlan closed her eyes as her body gradually relaxed. At this time, Emozian moved away from her body and began to remove his top half. Qianlan opened her eyes and was surprised by Emozian's muscular body. Although this wasn't the first time they had shared a bed, she had never had the chance to take a closer look at him. It turned out, he merely looked skinny and weak, but he was so muscular after he took his clothes off. Of course, the metals on his body also made Qianlan's heart ache. Soon his body was on top of hers again. As Qianlan looked at the scar on his chest, she couldn't help but run her finger across it. It hurts, doesn't it? Mo Zichen's gaze gradually darkened. Soon he couldn't control himself anymore as he leaned over and kissed Qianlan on the lips. This time, he was very gentle. It was almost like he wanted to taste Qianlan's body. Meanwhile, Qianlan had just eaten dessert, so all that was left in her mouth was the taste of butter and sweetness. Mo Zichen was completely immersed in the kiss. Soon, their body's temperature began to rise. Qianlan moaned softly, making Mo Zichen feel that it was so enchanting and seductive. Qianlan, I can't hold it in anymore. Qianlan looked at Mo Zichen in a daze as her eyes rippled gently. At this moment, the couple hugged each other tightly. Their originally gentle kiss had turned into a passionate one. At this moment, Mo Zichen no longer had any misgivings. He immediately removed the bindings on the two of them. In this warm night, he entered the beautiful forbidden area. Qianlan thought that Mo Zichen would stop after this. After all, she had just experienced it for the first time. But Mo Zichen had no intention of stopping. He continued to take more until Qianlan's energy was completely drained. Because he didn't know that doing such intimate things with the person he loved could be so addictive. No wonder the world praised its beauty. The night was long, but at the same time it felt short. Mo Zichen was not satisfied yet, but he couldn't continue torturing Qianlan because the scar on her back had just healed. But the two of them continued to stick to each other like this. Because Qianlan liked it this way. It was like this was the only way her and Mo Zichen's souls could merge. Hugging each other tightly, the two of them fell asleep in exhaustion. The next morning, Qianlan woke up as usual. But not only was she being hugged from behind by a certain man, a certain part of her body was also. Qianlan's face turned red. Just as she was about to get up, Mo Zichen pulled her back. Sleep with me a little longer. Let me go wash up first, Qianlan said. You can sleep by yourself. After hearing this, Mo Zichen flipped over and pressed Qianlan on top of him. Where else do you want to go? Even so, you should control yourself. Moreover, my body hurts. 5 years. Don't you think you should make it up to me? Mo Zichen looked at Qianlan's frightened expression. It's only been 1 night. But I'm really tired, Qianlan quickly said. Let's continue another day. Mo Zichen did not make things difficult for Qianlan as he lifted the blanket and got out of bed. So Qianlan watched as Mo Zichen walked into the bathroom naked. Why was he so used to it? Thinking about it, Qianlan was a little annoyed. But she realized she couldn't stand up. So she had no choice but to call Mo Zichen back. Can you carry me? I can't move. Mo Zichen walked out of the bathroom and carried Qianlan in his arms. But after entering the bathroom, he did not put her down. Call me hubby and I'll put you down. Mo Zichen, you're not usually like this, Qianlan exclaimed. You're not going to call me that? Then you can stay on my arm. Qianlan felt uncomfortable and was afraid of falling off his arm. So after a few seconds she finally called out, hubby. Mo Zichen did not continue to tease her. Instead, he placed her in the warm bathtub so she could relax. Qianlan let out a cry of surprise as she lay comfortably in the bathtub. After quite some time, she finally stepped out of the bathtub. By this time, Mo Zichen had already finished his bath in the guest room and had prepared breakfast. Qianlan sat down at the dining table. As she watched, Mo Zichen handed her a glass of milk and asked, When are you going to hand in your marriage report? I'll do it as soon as I get home, Qianlan replied. Qianlan, I already told you last night that we may not even have a wedding, Mo Zichen said in seriousness. Because I can't expose you in front of everyone and make you a target. I understand, Qianlan smiled. After we get married and sign the papers, as long as you think of me as your wife, I will be your wife. Mo Zichen pinched her cheeks guiltily and nodded his head. After your family's matter is resolved, we will immediately get married. As for the Qian family, they agreed that Tongning would be in charge of them. In order to help her son settle his worries as soon as possible, Tongning arrived at the Qian family home with her bodyguards a few days later. At this time, Qian Hui, who had nothing to do, was so shocked that she couldn't say a word when she saw a famous celebrity. Mom, am I dreaming? Is this Tongning? Hello, Miss Qian. Hello, Madam Qian. Tongning was as polite as usual without the arrogance of a superstar. But the aura that she exuded wasn't something that the average person could handle. Hello. Mother Qian immediately responded. I'm here today because of my youngest son, Mo Zichen and Qian Lan, to propose a marriage. As soon as Qian Hui heard the word marriage proposal, she was surprised. Who would have thought that the Mo family would place so much importance on this? Now that the Mo family was here to propose a marriage, did that mean she could return to her days as a rich heiress? Madam Mo, you're being too polite. Mother Qian immediately replied. It doesn't matter if he proposes or not. As long as Zichen treats Qianlan well, that's all that matters. We can't forget about etiquette. I wonder if Mr. Qian is home? He's gone out, Mother Qian replied. Tongning smiled. She had no intention of waiting for Father Qian. Instead, she pulled out an envelope from her handbag and placed it in front of the mother and daughter. I've asked the people that have held weddings in the past about the rules, and they all said that this is how a betrothal gift should be given. So I brought this with me. As soon as Qian Hui saw this, she reached out her hand to take the envelope. But Mother Qian quickly stopped her. What are you doing? This is your sister's. Qian Lan's already married into a wealthy family, so it doesn't matter if I take a little. Chapter 12:17. Hearing Qian Hui's words, Tongning's expression darkened. She smiled. No, Qian Lan is indeed married into the Mo family. But the Mo family has no plans to accept her as their daughter-in-law. Not only that, she also wrote a guarantee that she won't covet anything from the Mo family, and that she won't use our money after marrying my son. After all, she heard our son first. It's not unreasonable for us to make such a request, right? After hearing Tongning's words, Qian Hui slammed her hands on the table and stood up. Although the Mo family has a lot of influence in Beijing, not everyone has to follow your orders. How could my sister be worth so little? Plus, isn't it an insult to ask my sister to write a guarantee? Why would we insult our daughter-in-law? Isn't it because she has a vampire family? If so, why are you so thick-skinned as to ask her for money? Is she going to give it to you or not? Rather than making things difficult for her, it's better that you don't have any expectations from the start. What do you think, Madam Qian? That's how it should be, Mother Qian agreed. That's why, young lady, don't think that I'm going overboard. After all, the Mo family isn't stupid. We're only marrying a daughter-in-law, not an entire family. Qian Hui's expression didn't look too good, but she couldn't win against Tongning in an argument. Mom, say something. Qian Hui immediately said. We're being bullied. I think Madam Mo is right. Qian Hui, you're not young anymore. You should go out and find a job. Instead of staying at home all day. Do you expect your mother to support you? Mother Qian lectured. Mom, Qian Lan is our family's hope. How could you marry her off so easily? Qian Hui was extremely upset. After all, she and Father Qian were waiting to bask in Qian Lan's glory and rise again. If Qian Lan wants to get married, none of us can stop her. I'll make the decision today. Madam Mo, we'll follow the Mo family's rules. I have no objections. Qian Hui couldn't take it anymore, so she stood up and left the living room. Seeing this, Mother Qian shook her head helplessly. At this time, Tongning pulled out another check from her purse and handed it to Mother Qian. Zichen has already explained your family's situation. I hope you can forgive me for my rudeness. Zichen asked me to give this money to you. As soon as Mother Qian saw $2 million, she felt it was too much. No, this is too much. We agreed to follow the rules. This isn't from Zichen's father or I. It's from Zichen's own savings. You have a chronic illness, so you need to save some money to protect yourself. As for Qian Lan, don't worry. Since she can't be separated from Zichen, let them be together. Qian mother looked at Qian Lan and nodded. I said. As for Qian Hui and my husband, I'm afraid they won't give up so easily. Perhaps, they'll go look for Qian Lan's troops. Don't worry. Tongning smiled. While the two women were talking, Qian Hui had already gone to the casino to fetch Father Qian back. Along the way, she explained the reason for her visit to Father Qian. Father Qian was, of course, anxious and angry. As soon as he saw Tongning, he immediately said, "The Qian family doesn't welcome you. Get out now and my daughter will not marry Mo Zichen." "I don't agree." Mother Qian looked at her husband and then at Tongning. At this time, Tongning smiled and replied to Father Qian, "Mayor Qian, do you still remember what you did while you were in office?" Father Qian's expression changed. "You should know that Hai Rui controls the entire information network in Beijing. As long as we want to, there's nothing we don't know. Do you want to be punished?" Tongning asked gently. To put it simply, Qianlan's marriage is her personal choice. Even if you are her father, you have no right to interfere. Not to mention, that sister that lives off her parents and doesn't want to work. What right do you have to interfere with Qianlan's decision? Whether Qianlan marries or not is not up to you, nor is it up to me. It is up to her. According to normal rules, the Mo family will not give you any less benefits. But if you dare to go overboard, then we can only say sorry. The Mo family doesn't mind making a report, Tongning said in a domineering manner. If you dare to act recklessly, you can go ahead and try. As for Qian Hui, I can arrange a job for you and introduce you to a manager to help you debut. But can you please stop sucking your mother's blood? After hearing this, Qian Hui lowered her head in embarrassment. I've already told you why I'm here today. It's not scary when people fall. It's scary when they don't want to work. You too think about it carefully. I'm going to leave first. After speaking, Tongning stood up as Mother Qian walked her out. Take care. Tongning nodded her head and made an okay gesture to Mother Qian. Mother Qian returned to the living room to find Father Qian looking gloomy. Does this mean this is all I can do? Qian Hui suddenly had an idea. She could become a celebrity. Of course, Tongning was just saying it. With her talent, it would be difficult for her to act as a corpse. But Tongning didn't care. As long as she completed her task and gave Mo Zichen a satisfactory answer, she was satisfied. It didn't take long before Qianlan received a phone call from her mother telling her that Tongning had come to visit. She even brought a betrothal gift. Qianlan was worried about Qian Hui and Father Qian's reaction. But Mother Qian shook her head. Your mother-in-law has already taken care of everything. You just need to focus on getting married. Lan Er, I've let you down in the past. I just hope you can be happy and safe from now on. Mom, let's not talk about this anymore. When are you guys holding your wedding? She and Mo Zichen did not have to hold any ceremonies. Even so, she was already satisfied. Thinking about how they had fought in bed over the past few days, Qianlan's face flushed red. She didn't know if this man had been abstinent for too long. But as soon as he started, his desires were endless, making her beg for mercy. After all, she came from a military background, so her physical fitness was nothing to scoff at. But compared to Mo Zichen, she was still a far cry. By the way, your sister is going to become a celebrity. Tongning arranged it for her. Since she wants to go, then let her go. That way, Father Qian wouldn't have to rely on his daughter, and Qian Hui would have something to look forward to. It seemed, Qian Hui still wanted to stand out. After all, Su Chuanhao had dumped her. If she really became a celebrity, wouldn't Su Chuanhao regret it? However, at the moment, no one had high hopes for Qian Hui. Chapter 12:18. Mom, how could you not need it? You need money for your doctor's treatment and everything else at home, Qianlan said. I don't blame you for what happened in the past. You've helped me grow up a lot. Mom, this is a gift from Zichen. Please accept it. Mother Qian smiled but did not say a word. But she was going to save the money and not use it recklessly. As a mother, it was bad enough that she didn't prepare a dowry for Qianlan's wedding. But what right did she have to burden them? I don't need anything. I just need you to let me know when you're getting married. Mom, what are you talking about? Isn't this what I should do? The mother and daughter had a long heart-to-heart talk. This time, Qianlan was finally able to let go of the knot in her heart, because she had a good mother-in-law. Father Qian, although he failed to sell his daughter, he could still rely on Qian Hui. What if Qianhui really became famous? Tongning simply mentioned it casually, but Qianhui took it seriously. So, she actually went to Superstar Media and met with her manager. The manager looked at Qianhui's looks and abilities, but she did not care about her at all. She simply asked, "Tell me, do you have any talents that you can use? Or, do you have something that is worth investing in?" Surprisingly, the manager accepted Qianhui that day. As for the reason, no one knew. After 3 months of training, Qianlan actually debuted. Even though she debuted as a nude body double, she didn't have any strong points, but her back was exceptionally perfect. This was the reason why the manager was willing to help her. There were too many female artists that became famous from being naked. But it had to be said that using this method was the best way to attract attention. Qianhui seemed to have a talent for being an artist. In front of the cameras, she was especially natural. This allowed Father Qian to return to the wealthy lifestyle he once had. So he decided to become his daughter's manager and quit gambling. After Qianlan recovered, she immediately returned to the army and submitted a marriage report to her superiors. In an instant, the news of the Tigress instructor Qian getting married became the talk of the new recruits. Of course, Qianlan's return also made the new recruits extremely happy. After all, in order to save them, an instructor could enter the forbidden zone alone. Who wouldn't be convinced? On the day that they received the approval from their superiors, Qianlan and Mo Zichen headed straight to the civil affairs office to register. Afterwards, they returned home to celebrate with their family. When Mo Zichen saw their red booklets, she couldn't help but feel envious. "That's great, brother 2 is ahead of me and big brother. What's the rush? As long as you're willing, you can easily find a boyfriend," Qianlan said. "I want someone like my father." Mo Zichen had high expectations for men. "There is only one person in the world like your father, and that is my husband. You should give up," Tongning said as she sat on the sofa. "Mommy, you're so annoying." The whole family was happy and harmonious. They sat together and joked with each other. Of course, regarding her son starting a family, Tongning was also filled with emotions. "From now on, you are a mature man. You need to take responsibility for your family." "Don't worry, Mom. I will take good care of Qianlan. Have a baby as soon as possible," Tongning ordered. As soon as Qianlan heard this, her face turned red. Soon Mo Ting returned home. When he found out that his son had registered for marriage, he did not react in any way. After all his energy was focused on Tongning. When his wife was happy, he was happy too, just like he was many years ago. However, to everyone's surprise, during this time, a strange incident happened. While the Mo family were all present, a tall and skinny woman with a 3-year-old boy knocked on Tongning's door. As soon as Tongning opened the door, she had no idea who they were or how they knew where she was. Hello, let me introduce myself. I am an unmarried mother. This is my son, but at the same time, he is also Mo Zishi's son. Tongning. Mo Zichen. Mo Zian. What kind of fantasy was this? When did her brother have a 3-year-old son? Was he going to be a father? No one knew what was going on. So all Tongning could do was invite the woman into the house and slowly ask her questions. "Can you tell us what's going on?" Tongning asked after settling the woman on the sofa. The woman was young, roughly 23 years old. She had long hair and looked gentle and virtuous. "Mrs. Mo, can I have a word with you in private?" After all, it was a private matter, so the woman couldn't possibly reveal it in front of everyone. Tongning understood, so she led the woman into the study room. "Go ahead." Meanwhile, the little boy was left in the living room to be observed. Now that you look at it, this child does look a little like Big Brother. Especially his eyes. "If that's the case, he also looks like me." Mo Zichen rolled his eyes. "Second brother. Your eyes look melancholy, but my eyes look bright and full of spirit, okay? That's why, all these years, I've always been able to tell the difference between you and Big Brother from the look in your eyes." Zian is right, the look in your eyes is the biggest difference. This child isn't afraid of strangers. Qianlan joined in the discussion, even though she and Mo Zichen were the main characters tonight. "Is he Big Brother's son? What a fantasy. I really want to know what's going on. Did Big Brother bully an innocent woman while he was in the army? Is he being irresponsible? Xian looked at the little boy carefully. Apart from thinking that he was cute, she also felt that he was exactly the same as Mo Zishi, especially his eyes. Mo Zishi had always been bright and healthy, so wasn't this little boy exactly the same? Call me auntie. Mo Xian wanted to tease him, so she said to the little boy. But to her surprise, the little boy actually responded, Auntie. Oh God, this is Big Brother's son, I promise. Qianlan looked at Mo Zichen, and the couple smiled at each other. They both felt that Xian was naturally cheerful. Since there was nothing else for them to do here, they decided to go home and celebrate their wedding night. After all, it was a joyous occasion. As for gossip about Big Brother, they would wait until they woke up the next day. At that moment, no one paid any attention to the couple. Because of this, Mo Zichen complained as he left, this is what it means to be in a family. Big Brother's matter is also very important. This time, it doesn't seem like a small matter. After all, Big Brother brought a child with him. Qianlan comforted. I'm just saying. Right now, it's more important to go home and celebrate our wedding night. It wasn't easy for them to become legally married. So Mo Zichen had no intention of enduring it any longer. When Qianlan saw the look in his eyes, she couldn't help but feel that this man had too much stamina. It was like everything that had happened in the past had never satisfied him. Chapter 12:19. Meanwhile, the woman that Tongning brought into the study room looked a little timid. After all, she was facing a national celebrity, so she couldn't help but feel nervous. But for the sake of her child, she still spoke up. Hello, Mrs. Mo. My surname is Yao and I am an emergency doctor. I've never heard my son mention that he's in a relationship, so you might need to explain a lot. Tongning refused to believe that her son was a heartless jerk. So, she was determined to get to the bottom of this matter from start to finish. You can't blame Mo Zishi for this. He and I have only met a few times, and we're not exactly close. I'm afraid he doesn't know that something has happened between us. Here's what happened. The hospital I work in is part of the military, so the military that he works in is very close to the people in my department. That time, we were having a meal together. He had too much to drink and was sent to the wrong room. At the same time, I was also drunk. Afterwards, I left the room and pretended that we hadn't touched. But I never expected that I would end up pregnant. Because of my special body, I couldn't abort the child, so I gave birth to him. In that case, why did you wait until the child was 3 years old before you came to look for us? Tongning asked. I have no intention of scamming the Mo family. The child is my own, and I am willing to bear all the consequences. The reason why I brought the child here today is to tell you that the child has hemolysis. As a single mother, I have to take care of him and make a living. In many ways, I will be mistreating the child. Because of this matter, I've thought about it for a few days. But I feel that if I send him to the Mo family, he will have a higher chance of survival, the woman said, pretending to be strong. But in reality, her eyes were already red. You can make arrangements for a DNA test and other matters. As long as you can ensure the child's health, I don't care what contract you want me to sign. I can even refuse to see him for the rest of my life. After hearing this, Tongning seemed to understand what the woman was trying to say. But nothing had been verified yet, so she didn't have the right to say anything. I won't comment on this matter. After all, the child has already been born. If you are okay with it, you can leave him here, and we will arrange for him to undergo a thorough examination. As for other matters, I will need to clarify them first. After the woman heard this, she nodded. It's fine if the child doesn't shy away from strangers. Then leave me your contact number. I'll contact you after I figure things out. Mrs. Mo, I don't mean to ruin Mo Zishi's image, but when it comes to the child, we are both responsible. I understand, Tongning nodded. You did the right thing. Leave your contact information, then I'll be leaving. The woman appeared very calm and did not cry at all. Her attitude was also very clear. She wasn't doing this for the Mo family's money, but because she wanted better medical treatment for her child. If this was true, then Tongning felt that this woman was worthy of respect. But if she was here to deceive people, perhaps in this world, No one would dare to cheat the Mo family of their money so openly. After the woman left, everyone rushed into the study. They wanted to know what was going on. Mom, why did you leave the child behind? How are we going to take care of the child? I've already called her auntie. Don't you know how? Tongning laughed. Then should we inform Big Brother immediately? Contact your brother and tell him to come back. Tongning nodded and took the child from Mo Xian's hands. As she looked at the child, she felt like she was looking at the two brothers when they were young. They looked exactly the same. So the relationship between the child and Mo Zishi was likely real. But whether or not the truth was as the woman said, was something that needed further investigation. Ting, get someone to run a DNA test tonight. Xian, go to your brother's room and look for his hair. Okay, Xian immediately went to work. Also, I'll need to trouble Lu Che to investigate this woman's background. Mom, if this is really Big Brother's child, what should we do? Does this woman have any requests? After hearing Mo Xian's question, Tongning shook her head. She doesn't have any requests. She simply hopes that we can provide better medical treatment for the child. He has hemolysis. What an adorable child. Mo Xian couldn't help but feel pity for the child. How about you place him in my room before we send him for a test? I'll take care of him. Are you sure you can do that? Trust me, Xian replied as she patted her chest. She then turned to the child and asked, Can you tell Auntie? Hello, Auntie. Mo Xian liked this child because he looked exactly the same as the two brothers in the photo. Hugging the little one made her feel like she was hugging her two brothers when they were young. It was a very strange feeling. But if Big Brother really has a child, how is he going to get married? I really hope he doesn't have a girlfriend at the military base. Otherwise, things will be difficult. But we can't mistreat this child either. Mo Zichen had just gotten married and Mo Zishi was already in such a huge mess. Originally, they agreed that they wouldn't worry about their children anymore. But based on the current situation, that wasn't realistic. Mom, not everyone can get into Hyatt Regency. How did she get in? Of course, this question had to be investigated along with the other questions. When Mo Zishi received the news at the military base, he had no idea why his family was calling him home in such a hurry. But it had been a long time since he had seen his family, especially since he couldn't even go home when Mo Zichen got married. He was indeed not a good brother. But he was doing this for the sake of his life. Previously, before Zichen was married and in a relationship, he did not dare to consider his own personal matters. After all, he remembered that the scar on Zichen's forehead was to protect him when he was young. So in his heart, he would only consider himself if his brother found his own happiness. As a result, when he found out that Mo Zichen was getting married, he felt relieved and decided to be with one of his comrades. So he spent the next few days preparing to propose. But since his family was rushing him, he had no choice but to postpone the matter. Not only that, Mo Zishi rushed home overnight and arrived at Hyatt Regency early the next morning. However, as soon as he stepped through the front door, he noticed that everyone was there. Even the busy Mo Ting and Xian were there. Why is everyone here? That's strange, Xian. Normally, at this time of the day, you wouldn't be working at Hai Rue. Instead, you would be at school. What's going on today? Mo Xian gestured for him to look at Tongning. What's wrong? Tongning did not look at her son. Instead, she said to Xian, Carry the child out. Okay. Mo Xian quickly did as she was told. It was as if the entire family was being interrogated. This made Mo Zishi feel that something was wrong. Mom, what's wrong? Chapter 12:20. Soon, Mo Xian walked over to Mo Zishi with the child in her arms. Mo Zishi was a little surprised. He didn't understand what Tongning was talking about. This is your child. After waiting for 6 hours, the results of the DNA test came back. There's no mistake about it, Mo Xian replied. No, that's impossible. How could I have a child? Mo Zishi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Where did this child come from? Big brother, I don't know how to explain this to you. Let mom do it. I'll go to Hairue now. Mo Zishi received the child and looked at Tongning confusedly, hoping that she could give him an answer. Tongning sighed and temporarily handed the child to Mo Ting. She then said to Mo Zishi, "Come with me to the study room." Tongning did this so that Mo Zishi could retain a little bit of pride in front of his father. Mo Zishi followed Tongning into the study room confusedly, leaving Mo Ting to look at his grandson on the sofa and carry him onto his lap. When the two brothers were young, he used to carry them like this. He hoped that they wouldn't cause trouble for Tongning when they grew up. But it turned out to be wishful thinking. Lu Che's background check has arrived. The woman that gave birth to your child is called Yao Anqi. She is an ER doctor at your military hospital. Lu Che has also found out that it wasn't easy for her to get pregnant at the time, and it wasn't suitable for her to have an abortion. That's why she gave birth to your child. But the blood types aren't compatible, so the child developed hemolysis. That's why she came looking for you last night. Mom, I've seen her before, but we've never done anything like that, Mo Zishi replied. I've never even touched her. According to Anqi, 4 years ago, you were sent to the wrong room at a dinner party. She was also drunk, so you ended up sleeping with her. Mo Zishi was a little embarrassed. After all, discussing such a private topic in front of his mother hurt his pride. But Mo Zishi did not avoid the topic. Wait, does that mean that she was the one that slept with me 4 years ago? From the sound of it, you've misunderstood something? Tongning immediately grasped the main point. When I woke up the next day, my comrade was lying beside me. I thought, and I was about to propose to her. But the truth is clear. The person who had sex with you was Angie. Or you. Mom, I promise only one, because only once. It was also because of that incident that he decided to date that female comrade. He did not want to damage her reputation. Then it must have been done on purpose. Zishi, not only did I ask Lu Che to investigate Anqi's background, I also did a background check on her character. For the past 3 years, she's been taking care of the child alone, and has never complained about being tired. It wasn't until a while ago when the child was hospitalized frequently that she realized that her ability was limited. That's why she came to ask for help. Furthermore, after she sent the child here, she didn't make any conditions, nor did she say anything bad about you. What happened is the responsibility of both of you. She took responsibility for her part, but what about you? After hearing this, Mo Zishi was stunned. Suddenly, his mind was in a mess. For a moment, he couldn't make the proper judgment. Mom, can you let me sort this out? My mind is in a mess right now. Go ahead. Tongning was well aware. No matter who it was, they couldn't accept that a son had suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and that his girlfriend of 4 years had lied to him. At that time, Yao Anqi was the one that had slept with him, but someone had taken advantage of him. Even so, they had dated for 4 years. It would be a lie to say that they didn't have any feelings for each other. Mo Zichen walked out of the study room dispiritedly and approached Mo Ting. Dad. A man should act like a man. Mo Ting said before he handed the child back to Mo Zishi. This is your responsibility. Mo Zishi didn't know what to do. All he could do was carry the child back to his room and sit there for a good few hours. Luckily, the child did not make a fuss and was obedient the entire time. However, he would occasionally cry out, Mama, Mama. Hearing these words, Mo Zishi immediately stood up and carried the child to Tongning. After getting Yao Anqi's contact details from Tongning, he immediately drove out. Seeing this, Tongning couldn't help but sigh at her husband. Ting, why is our child's path to love so difficult? Every relationship needs to be nurtured with care. A bad start may not necessarily be a bad thing. There's no point in worrying, okay? After hearing this, Tongning nodded her head. I trust Zishi because he is our son. Meanwhile, Mo Zishi drove the child to the hospital. Luckily, the child was obedient and sat in the back seat without crying or making a fuss. Otherwise, Mo Zishi wouldn't have known how to drive. After arriving at the hospital, Mo Zishi carried the child to the emergency department and asked the nurse to call Yao Anqi. I'm sorry, Major Mo. Dr. Yao is currently in surgery. You may need to wait for a while. It's fine. Just tell me where her office is. Okay. The nurse led Mo Zishi to Yao Anqi's office. Just as she was about to leave, Emozishi called out to her. Can I ask you a few questions? Sure, the nurse nodded. Do you know this child? Of course. He's little Xingxing or Xingxia, Dr. Yao's son, the nurse replied. I don't know who little Xingxing's father is, but I often see Dr. Yao bringing little Xingxing to work. Plus, little Xingxing has hemolysis. Auntie, carry me. Little Xingxia immediately asked for a hug as soon as he saw a familiar person. The nurse beamed as she took little Xingxia from him. But why is Major Emo the one carrying him? Emozishi did not say a word. After quite some time, he finally asked, Can you keep what I asked you today a secret? Of course you can. We medical staff are good at keeping secrets for all kinds of people. Emozishi nodded his head, not daring to ask any further. He was afraid that if he found out about how hard Yao Anchi worked to take care of the child, he would feel even more guilty. For years ago, he always thought that the person he had a one-night stand with was his current girlfriend, so it was natural for him to like her. But now, he suddenly couldn't understand his own emotions. Roughly an hour later, Yao Anchi stepped out of the operating theater and returned to her office. As soon as she saw Emozishi carrying her son, she froze. Chapter 12:21. Mama. Mama. Little Xingxia immediately stretched out his hand towards Yao Anchi. Emozishi did not say anything. Yao Anchi understood his dilemma, so she simply said, Give me the child. You won't be able to take care of him on your own. I simply brought him here to ask you about some things to take note of, and to bring some things home. As for Xingxia, I'll bring him back to the Emo family to take care of. Emozishi spoke slowly and calmly. But, who would have known that his heart was actually surging with emotions? Okay, I'll write it down and pack some for you to take with you. Yao Anchi said obediently as the rims of her eyes turned red. Seeing this, Emozishi immediately explained. I don't mean to take the child away. I'm just saying that you're too busy right now. When you have time, you can go take care of him. Yao Anchi froze for a moment before she replied. I know about your relationship with Chen Jia. I don't want to disturb your life nor do I want to separate you, so I don't have to go. Since the child is born, a lot of things are already destined, Emozishi replied. Yao Anchi didn't say anything else. She took out a piece of paper and wrote down some things that little Xingxia needed to take note of. She looked very quiet and seemed to be afraid of bothering others. His handwriting was good, and he did things in an orderly manner. He was very steady. But Emozishi also noticed that Yao Anchi's face was pale. It seemed she had overworked herself. I've already written everything down. As for your things, I'll go pack them in the waiting room in a moment. There's some at home. You can come pick them up later, Yao Anchi said as she handed the note to Emozishi. It gave off a sense of alienation, as if she was intentionally keeping a distance between them. Emozishi nodded and didn't say anything else. But just as they were halfway through packing, another patient arrived from the ER. Yao Anchi was about to get busy again, so she handed half of the things to Emozishi. Take these first. Emozishi accepted the items and grabbed onto Yao Anchi. It's important to save people, but you also need to take care of your own health. I think you've lost half your life. I've been busy today. I have 2 days off. I'll rest. After that, Xia Anchi hurriedly walked in front of the nurse, asking about the wounded's condition while putting on a mask. Emozishi had no choice but to bring the child back to the Emo family home. As soon as Tongning saw him return with something, she knew he had gone to look for Yao Anchi. What did Angie say? I was busy saving people, so I wrote down a few things to take note of and grabbed a few things that Xingxia normally uses, Emozishi replied. Mom, this child's name is Xingxia. Your name is very good, Tongning comforted as she received the child from Tongning. Mom, the last time Angie came to Hyatt Regency, she knelt down and begged our neighbor to take her, right? Emozishi looked at Lu Che's information. Okay, Tongning nodded. Let her enter freely and give her a key. After hearing Emozishi's words, Tongning nodded her head. She could tell that her son already had a plan. Your son is unfilial, so I'll leave Xingxia in your care. There are a lot of things that I want to settle. Alright, go ahead. Tongning was relieved. After all, Her son was able to tell right from wrong and make the right judgment. Mo Zishi took one last glance at his son before turning to leave Hyatt Regency. Just like Mo Ting said, a man should act like a man. Meanwhile, after the newly married Mo Zichen and Qianlong heard about Mo Zishi's situation, they couldn't help but sigh. It's only been 1 day and 1 night, but I feel like I've missed out on a lot of things. I originally thought that my love life was already bumpy enough. I never thought that Big Brother would have it even worse. Tongning called Mo Zichen and Qianlong home so that they could come home more often. When you have time, help take care of Angie and share his burden. Qianlong, you work at the military base not too far from where Zishi is stationed. When you have time, you should visit the hospital and help Angie out. Mom, that's what I should do. Qianlong nodded. After hearing what you said, I also think that Angie is a great person and worth befriending. Zichen, if you have nothing to do, don't stay at home reading. Come over and take care of your nephew. Mo Zichen looked at the little rascal and nodded his head. Of course, he is such a good nephew. But Big Brother must be feeling terrible right now. But as a man he has his responsibilities. Who told him to go drinking? Qianlong couldn't help but say, he deserved it. But Big Brother is a real man for being able to cut through the Gordian knot. At least, he was a lot more straightforward than they were. But Big Brother is already ahead of us. After returning to the military base, Mo Zishi had a serious expression on his face. This time he was a little different from his usual self. A few of his comrades were thinking of helping him decorate the wedding venue after he came back. But in the end he said, "No need, I won't propose anymore." What? What happened? Did you argue with Jingrong? No, it's the wrong position. Mo Zishi explained to his brothers and told them everything that happened after he got home. After hearing this, his comrades fell silent. Does that mean you have a child now? Yes. Although I knew that Jingrong was interested in you, I never expected her to be so despicable, one of his comrades said. Did you make a mistake? No, I'm certain that Jingrong lied to me. After all, we've mentioned it more than once. But she always brushed me off and made me think that we were in a relationship. If she was innocent, she would have told me the truth a long time ago. Although I don't want to believe it, it's an indisputable fact, Mo Zishi explained. Now that you mention it, this woman has gone a little overboard. Although I understand why Jingrong wants to keep you, this kind of deception is too much. Plus, I've heard about Dr. Yao. He's indeed a good person and has a good reputation. Yet he didn't look for you for 3 years. That's very kind of him. Hey, since that's the case, you should do as you see fit. We will keep this a secret for you. After all, this is your private matter. Mo Zishi's comrades patted Mo Zishi on the shoulder sympathetically and threw away all the things they had prepared for the proposal. Mo Zishi sat in his office and thought for a long time. Since he already had a plan in mind, he had no choice but to speak to Chen Jingrong. Although she had lied to him, she had accompanied him for 4 years, so he had to say goodbye to her. As for Yao Anqi, he didn't know what to do. All he could do was resolve the matter with Chen Jingrong first. After all, he wasn't ashamed to be a two-timer. So wasn't he a bit of a jerk? But he really didn't know about Anqi and Xingzhe's existence. Chapter 12:22. After arriving at Chen Jingrong's home, Mo Zishi's heart was heavy. But even if Xingzhe hadn't been born, if he had known that Chen Jingrong had lied to him from the start, he wouldn't have stayed with her for so long. After all, how could a relationship that was built on deception be real? At this time, Chen Jingrong was about to leave the house. As soon as she opened the door and saw Mo Zishi, she immediately smiled. Did something happen at home? Yes and no. Mo Zishi walked into the house and sat down on the sofa. What's wrong? Chen Jingrong asked as she knelt down in front of Mo Zishi. Jingrong, there's something I want to confirm with you. Mo Zishi lifted his head and looked at Chen Jingrong. What's so serious? On that night 4 years ago, did you really sleep with me? Mo Zishi asked in seriousness. Chen Jingrong's expression turned unnatural as her hands began to tremble. Why are you suddenly asking about this? If it wasn't me, who else could it be? Chen Jingrong immediately explained. Did you hear some rumors? Afterwards, we were together for 4 years. I felt like we had enough feelings for each other, and we could live together. But you rejected me and told me that you wanted to wait until we got married. Was it because you were afraid of revealing that you were still a virgin? Emozishi said in self-ridicule. I've always respected your decision. But from the looks of it, I'm thankful that you didn't do anything to stop us from progressing further. Of course, if that's the case, the other problem becomes even more serious. If I can't find out anything, how do you plan to resolve the matter? Do you plan to go to the hospital for surgery? Chen Jingrong stood up because she suddenly didn't know how to respond. I'm disappointed that you're willing to do anything for the sake of a relationship. At the same time, my heart hurts. We've been together for 4 years, but I still haven't seen through you. You're too good at pretending. Chen Jingrong's body trembled. She didn't know what else Emozishi knew. So Jingrong, let's just forget about it. I don't want to spend the rest of my life with someone that's lied to me for 4 years. It would be tiring for me to keep guessing about you. This is good for all of us. Today, I came here to talk about this. I won't spread this news. Let's part ways peacefully. After speaking, Emozishi stood up from the sofa and prepared to leave. But Chen Jingrong suddenly wrapped her arms around him. Zishi, listen to me. I really didn't lie to you again. It was just that one time. It was really just that one time. Jingrong, leave both of us with some dignity. I'm not the only person you've hurt. After speaking, Emozishi removed Chen Jingrong's hand from his waist. Our relationship officially ends here. Chen Jingrong tried to grab onto Emozishi's hand, but Emozishi shook her off. Chen Jingrong couldn't accept this outcome, so she chased after Emozishi barefoot. She wanted to cling to him, but Emozishi did not even look back. He knew that if he showed even the slightest bit of reluctance, he would be being irresponsible towards Chen Jingrong, Yao Anqi and Xingzhe. So he directly left Chen Jingrong's home and headed over to his friend's home to have a drink with them. Have you explained things to Chen Jingrong? One of his friends asked. Did you wrong her? She admitted to it. Emozishi nodded as he poured himself a glass of wine in a self-mocking manner. I never thought that Chen Jingrong would be such a terrible person. Zishi, you can't be blamed. Even though we've been classmates with Chen Jingrong for so many years, I couldn't tell that she was so good at pretending. Emozishi let out a laugh and drank the rest of the wine in his glass. Since it's all in the past, let's not talk about it anymore. Brother, you already have a son. Shouldn't you be celebrating? You've already resolved the matter with Chen Jingrong, but what about Yao Anqi? What do you plan to do? She gave birth to your son, so it's hard for her to get married again. Aren't you going to take responsibility? I just broke up with my ex-girlfriend, yet I'm already looking for another woman. I think I'm quite a jerk, Emozishi explained. Let nature take its course. Luckily, she's not a scary person. The most important thing right now is to take care of Xingzhe's health. Haze, I understand. After hearing this, Emozishi smiled. Who in this world could empathize with someone else's pain? No one. They were simply comforting him. Like this, the couple continued to drink and chat until late at night. Afterwards, Emozishi prepared to return home, but his friend stopped him. You should sleep here tonight. Chen Jingrong might be outside your house right now. Emozishi patted his friend on the shoulder and smiled. No need, I'm going to the hospital. Okay, be careful. Are you sure you're not drunk? I'm very sober right now. After speaking, Emozishi grabbed his jacket and headed to the military hospital. Inside, he found Yao Anqi still busy with work. Was she made of iron? Didn't she need to rest for 24 hours? But as he watched her treat the patient's wound in such a professional manner, Emozishi stood to one side without alerting anyone. Afterwards, he noticed the mole on Yao Anqi's earlobe. At that moment, Emozishi felt like a box of memories had been opened and everything that happened that night replayed in his mind. At that time, he noticed the mole, but he couldn't find it on Chen Jingrong's earlobe, so he thought he was imagining things. Plus, apart from that night, he didn't pay attention to Yao Anqi at all. So he had no idea that this woman was the one that had intimate contact with him. Dr. Yao, the surgery is about to start. Are you going to be able to hold on? A nurse asked Yao Anqi as she ran. Yao Anqi turned around and nodded her head. I can. But as soon as she saw Emozishi, she froze for a moment and quickly looked away. Let's go in then. Emozishi watched as Yao Anqi left, but he did not chase after her. He didn't want to cause trouble for her. After all, he had just broken up with Chen Jingrong. Soon Emozishi returned to the military base. He needed to apply for leave from his superior to deal with Xingjia's matter. After his superior found out about his matter, he pulled him into his office and lectured him. What did you do? Chief, I'm guilty. Since you have a child, you need to give them an explanation. Hand in your marriage report as soon as possible. Otherwise, if word gets out, we won't be able to live anymore. Yes, Chief. By the way, what about you and Jingrong? Chapter 12:23. I've already spoken to Jingrong, Emozishi replied. His superior's expression softened a little, and he was finally satisfied. You've finally done something right. You've been in the military for so many years and you've never taken any leave. I'll give you a full month of leave. Make sure you handle the situation well, and don't let me hear any rumors. Otherwise, I'll hold you responsible. Emozishi saluted and turned to leave. But just as he stepped out of the door, he heard his superior knock on his desk. Hurry and hand me the marriage report. Marriage? It sounded like it was a matter of course. But just like he said, he didn't want to break up with one woman at a time like this and marry another. Even though he wasn't in the wrong morally. After leaving the chief's office, Emozishi drove straight to the car park near the hospital. He knew that he couldn't go home for the time being, and he didn't have anything to pack. But he ended up waiting for an entire hour. By the time he saw Yao Anqi walk out of the hospital, it was already 4 a.m. and there wasn't anyone left. Emozishi looked at Yao Anqi and honked. Yao Anqi approached and saw it was Emozishi. She was a little surprised. Why are you here? Get in the car. I'll take you home and drop by your home to pick up some things that Xingji needs, Emozishi said. But if you delay any longer, someone will come, Emozishi reminded her. Yao Anqi had no choice but to open the car door and sit in the front passenger seat. However, on the way home, the couple didn't have much to say to each other. They were originally just acquaintances, but now they had suddenly become the parents of a child. A normal person wouldn't be able to accept a change like this, right? But if it was awkward, it would take a long time. In the end, Emozishi couldn't help but say, from now on you'll probably see me from time to time. I'll come by, but I won't cause you any trouble. But what about Xinjia? I've already explained everything to her. Emozishi replied. Plus, it wasn't because of you. There was a problem between us that forced us to separate. How is it not because of me? I think I stole her man. You didn't steal from her, she stole from you. I know it's hard for you to get over it if I don't tell you the real reason. Let me be honest with you. If Chen Jingrong hadn't lied to me, it would have been hard for me to cut off my relationship with her. But there are no ifs. She lied to me for 4 years. That night 4 years ago, I didn't know it was you. When I woke up, she was lying next to me. I always thought she was the one I slept with. Then, I didn't touch her. She's still whole. So from now on, you don't need to blame yourself. I won't mention anything about Jingrong again. I know you're not a meddlesome person, so let's just let this matter go and we won't bring it up again. Yao Anqi nodded her head. As long as she wasn't the third party, she didn't mind. After their conversation, Emozishi finally found Yao Anqi's home. Rather than calling it a home, it was more like a shelter. It was obvious that Yao Anqi didn't live a rich life. If it wasn't for Xingjia, you would be a rich woman by now. I'm an orphan. Now that I have a son, of course I have to depend on him, Yao Anqi explained. She then packed a few things and handed them to Emozishi. These are all things that Xingjia likes and is familiar with. When he sees these things, he won't come looking for me anymore. When are you going to visit him? Emozishi asked. I think it's best if I don't visit him too often. Otherwise, we'll be even more tied down. After hearing Yao Anqi's words, Emozishi looked at her and said in seriousness, you may think it's impossible, but that's how things are in the Emo family. I can't possibly find a stepmother for my son. Whether he's married or not isn't that important. So you can visit him at any time. Major M.O.? Woman, you're always pushing responsibility onto yourself. I've never blamed you for messing up my life. No, to be exact, I should say that you've changed my life in a timely manner. Moz, she said patiently. It's getting late, you should get some rest. You have dark circles under your eyes, so I'll bring these things over. When you have time, give me a call. I've left my phone number on your desk. I have a month's vacation. Yao Anqi was tired, so she didn't have time to think about anything else. After Moz she left, she immediately fell asleep on the bed. Moz she actually wanted to tell her that she didn't need to work so hard, especially when he saw her simple living quarters. Moz she decided that he needed to help her find a better living environment. 6 a.m. Moz she finally returned home. Tongning woke up early and saw her son return with Xingjia's things in his hands. So she immediately asked, "Have you taken care of everything?" "Yes, I've made everything clear," Moz she replied. "Mom, where's Xingjia? I want to see him." "He's in your sister's room. She loves it," Tongning said as she pointed to Mozian's room. "Okay, I'll wait for her to wake up before I go in." Moz she returned to his room with the things in his hands. Perhaps because she knew that her son was upset, Tongning followed him upstairs. "If you're upset, then let it out. We are all by your side." Moz she had never felt so upset before. He wrapped his arms around Tongning's waist and buried his head in her stomach as he sobbed. "Mom, I feel like a jerk. Why didn't I realize this earlier? Why didn't I know I had a son earlier? If I had known earlier, Yao Anqi wouldn't have suffered so much and Xingjia would have been loved by a father. I also wouldn't have been fooled by a stupid person for so many years. Anqi didn't want to mess up your life," Tongning comforted as she patted her son on the back. "You should be thankful that Anqi is a good person. She gave birth to such an adorable son for you and saved your life in time. Mom, even so, I still feel upset. For years of love, in the end it was all a lie." "So what if it was 4 years? Didn't the truth come out in the end?" Tongning smiled. "From now on, learn from your mistakes and don't get tricked again. Plus, I don't know what to do with Yao Anqi," Moz she said as he sobbed. "If you don't marry her, she's already given birth to a child for you. But if you marry her, she might not be willing. Plus, she can have a better life." Chapter 12:24. I can't make any conclusions about you and Anqi. Anqi is a good person. But it still depends on whether fate has brought you together. What if, as you said, Anqi actually likes someone else? Zishi, your most important task right now is to take care of Xingjia. As for everything else, just let it happen naturally. After all, you can't force it. By the way, I know that my son is hurt. After being lied to for 4 years, who wouldn't feel resentful? But Moz she did not say a word. He simply hugged his mother like he wanted to enjoy his mother's embrace before he grew up. "Mom, I really miss the carefree days I used to have with Zichen. But you've grown up and you're a father now," Tongning comforted. "That's enough. Go see your son. As for Anqi, when you have time, invite her over for dinner. At least, that way, you can get closer to her." Moz she moved away from Tongning's embrace and nodded his head. "Okay, Mom." Afterwards, Moz she stood up, walked out of his room and knocked on Mozian's door. As soon as he saw her carrying his son out, he immediately reached out and received him in his arms. "Xingjia is such a good boy. He's following Auntie without crying at all." Moz she looked at his son as he picked up a familiar toy from the sofa and placed it in his hands. "Xingjia, call me Daddy." "Daddy, no. It's Daddy. He's never called me that before. He'll do it after a few more times," Mozian laughed. "Honestly, with little Xingjia around, I don't even want to go to work anymore. I want to go buy things for little Xingjia. I want to buy him lots of toys and clothes, so he can dress up like a handsome boy." Seeing this, Moz she sighed. "Thank you, sis. We're family, there's no need to thank me," Moz she said before he planted another kiss on little Xingjia's cheek. After Mozian left, Moz she learned from Tongning how to mix milk powder for his son. But just as he received a bottle of milk, he received a phone call from his comrade. "Zishi, You might need to return to the army. Chen Jingrong has committed suicide. Is she okay? He has been rescued and is now in the affiliated hospital. After Mo Zishi hung up the phone, he thought for a moment. He originally wanted to rush over, but he remembered that Yao Anqi was at the hospital, and she was currently working in the ER. Although she wasn't at work, he still calmed down. He didn't think that he had anything to do with Chen Jingrong. So he gave Chen Jingrong's father a phone call and told him to look after his daughter at the military base. He did not want to add unnecessary fetters to both sides, which would only hurt more people. Seeing his expression, Tongning could tell he was feeling guilty, so she suggested, "Why don't we get Mother to help you?" "Mom, how could I let you worry about me? I think it's best if Mother shows up for something like this." If the Mo family didn't express their sympathy, then Mo Zishi would have no way of showing his face in the military. But if Mo Zishi personally showed up, then he would never be able to settle things with the other party. In that case, he could only think of a compromise. "Mom, I'm sorry." "What are you apologizing for? We are a family." Apart from this, Tongning felt it was necessary for her to meet with Mo Zishi's ex-girlfriend. For her to lie to the man she loved for 4 years, it was obvious that she was capable of doing things like taking drugs, or doing something even more serious. Since that was the case, it was best for her to understand the situation first. If anything unexpected happened, she would have to deal with it. Mo Zishi spent the entire morning learning how to breastfeed his child. He also looked up a lot of parenting information online. He had missed out on too much in the past, so he was caught off guard by the fact that he had to make up for it. So it didn't take long before Tongning set out from home. Of course, she didn't tell Mo Ting that she was going. Otherwise, the man would be heartbroken again. Soon, Tongning arrived at the military base hospital and quietly asked around to find out which hospital room Chen Jingrong was in. Although she was already wearing a mask, her temperament was still very easy to recognize. "Are you the superstar, Tongning? May I know which hospital room Miss Chen Jingrong is in?" Tongning asked patiently for a second time. The nurse was excited, but she quickly reacted and told her Chen Jingrong's room number. After thanking the nurse, Tongning headed over to Chen Jingrong's room with some nutritional supplements. At this time, the nurse was the only one present. Chen Jingrong's family was nowhere to be seen. Tongning quietly entered the room with the intention of waiting for Chen Jingrong to wake up. But to her surprise, she ended up waking up. "Is this Zishi?" "I am Zishi's mother," Tongning replied gently as she removed her mask. "Hello, Auntie. Zishi, isn't he coming?" "Miss Chen, Auntie came here today to make things clear to you. Zishi won't be coming, because you've already broken up. If he comes, it will only complicate your relationship." After hearing this, Chen Jingrong's eyes filled with tears. "Auntie, can you tell Zishi that I know I was wrong and that I really don't want to break up with him?" "Child, I know that you have deep feelings for him, but you shouldn't have used such an extreme method to force him. You're being irresponsible towards your family," Tongning lectured. "Zishi may appear bright and cheerful, but he's very stubborn. Once he's decided on something, he's never looked back. That's why Auntie wants to tell you to move on and start afresh." Chen Jingrong's eyes dimmed. She had nothing to say to Tongning. She didn't want to give up on Zishi because it was too difficult. She even tried to die, but she couldn't do it. "I also want to have a little pride, but I'm not willing to give up." "Auntie, please go home," Tongning sighed. From the look in Chen Jingrong's eyes, she could tell that this woman wasn't a kind person, and she wasn't going to give up so easily. If this woman found out about Yao Anqi and Xingzhe's existence, things would become very troublesome. Even though this woman was obviously in the wrong in the first place. But Tongning did not stay for long. She had no reason to stay in front of Chen Jingrong any longer. As long as she was here, she represented the Mo family. At least, her son wouldn't be in such a difficult position. Afterwards, Tongning headed over to Yao Anqi's home. According to Mo Zishi, Yao Anqi's home was like a nest. From the looks of it, because of Xingzhe's birth, she hadn't been living a good life. Tongning needed to think of a way for Yao Anqi to move into the Mo family home. That way, Xingzhe would have his parents by his side. Although she didn't know if her son and Yao Anqi were fated to be together, she still hoped that Xingzhe would have a complete family. So, she went to look for Yao Anqi behind Mo Zixi back. "Madam, I'll go knock on the door first," Lu Che said. Chapter 12:25. Tongning nodded her head. A moment later, Yao Anqi opened the door. At this time, she was still wearing her white coat. "Auntie, do you mind if I take up a bit of your time?" Tongning asked. "No, I don't mind. It's just that my home is a mess." Tongning was not shy at all as she walked straight into the room and sat down on a chair. She then said to Yao Anqi, "I came to see you today without Zixi's knowledge. Auntie, have you decided to keep me away from the Mo family? I can leave. Do you think I'm that bad?" Tongning asked with a smile. "I'm not here to chase you away, nor am I here to give you money. I have no intention of breaking you and Xingzhe apart. On the contrary, I wanted to ask if you were willing to move to Hyatt Regency." After hearing this, Yao Anqi was stunned. "You Xingzhe and my son. This is a very strange fate. You must admit that since fate has dictated this way, then you should go with the flow. Most importantly, although our family can take good care of Xingzhe, a mother's place in our child's heart can never be replaced," Tongning said gently. "Our family doesn't care about family background. As long as a person is kind and cares about his family, we don't care about any other background. Auntie, you don't need to be considerate of me. I admit that I've been considerate of you. But most importantly, I've been considerate of Xingzhe," Tongning interrupted. "I know you have a lot of pride. If you want to believe that rich families don't discriminate based on their family background, it may be a little difficult. But in the Mo family this is the case. I won't force you and my son to be together. If you think he's suitable, then you can try. If you don't think he's what you want, then let me know. If the time is right, we won't stand in your way. But I'm more than willing to believe that you won't find another partner for Xingzhe's sake, right?" Yao Anqi silently agreed. She didn't actually want a relationship, even though she once wished for a family. "Then I hope you consider my words carefully. You are Xingzhe's mother, and we want to protect you." After speaking, Tongning stood up from her chair. "I know you haven't rested for a long time. You can continue. I'm going to leave first." But with Tongning's words, would Yao Anqi still be able to sleep? Try it out with Mo Zixi. Wasn't there still a shadow in his heart? 4 years of relationship, although they had broken up, it was not something that could be broken just like that. However, these things were beyond her control, so she temporarily put aside her worries. After she recovered, she returned to the hospital. But as soon as she entered the hospital, she heard a piece of gossip. Chen Jingrong had taken medicine and committed suicide. Of course, she also heard that Tongning had visited Chen Jingrong at the hospital. But it seemed Tongning must have visited Chen Jingrong on behalf of the Mo family before coming to see her. Mo Zixi did not appear from the beginning to the end. Although everyone in the hospital was trying to guess the reason behind their change of heart, for Mo Zixi to be so heartless, it couldn't have been a small matter. Yao Anqi pretended not to hear anything as she returned to her post. As she was doing her rounds, she happened to pass by Chen Jingrong's room. But since Mo Zixi told her not to feel guilty, she wasn't going to be shackled anymore. After all, she knew that 4 years ago, Chen Jingrong pretended to be her and won Mo Zixi's love. But Yao Anqi's assistant remembered that Mo Zixi had previously asked about Yao Anqi, so she asked quietly, "Dr. Yao, what's your relationship with Major Mo? He previously asked me about you when you came over with Xingzhe." "We're not related," Yao Anqi immediately replied. "Oh, I thought. Don't speak recklessly in case you cause trouble." "I know," the nurse quickly replied. "I won't speak recklessly." Mo Zixi had no idea that Tongning had gone to see Yao Anqi, nor did he know that Yao Anqi had returned to work after originally planning to take a break. So, while Xingzhe was asleep, he gave Yao Anqi a phone call. "Am I disturbing you?" "No," Yao Anqi replied. "The hospital isn't too busy today." "Do you really think you're made of steel? You're going back to work again." "I'm done resting," Yao Anqi replied calmly. "Chen Jingrong is currently staying at our hospital." "I know." Don't you plan to come and see her? Do you think I'm heartless? Emozishi unexpectedly asked Yaoanchi. After all, it was a 4-year relationship. If I broke it off just like that, even if she took medicine, I wouldn't show my face. Since you're going to break it off, why bother with so many things? To his surprise, Yaoanchi understood him. Since you said you didn't break up because of me, then I'm sure you have your own plans for not coming to the hospital. Anchi, come over to my place for dinner tonight. We can talk about Xingxia. You should meet him and give him a hug. Okay, Yaoanchi nodded. It wasn't that she hadn't considered Tongning's suggestion, but she had her own worries and concerns. Although she met the Mo family the last time, she still didn't know them well enough. So regardless of whether she entered the Mo family or not, she needed to make sure that no one had ill intentions toward Xingxia. At this time, the hospital suddenly erupted in a commotion. Soon, a man stormed towards Yaoanchi with a wooden stick in his hand and swung it at Yaoanchi's head. You're a quack. Dr. Yao. A nurse screamed. Her voice was so loud that even Emozishi could hear it. Anchi. What happened? But Yaoanchi had already hung up. This was a medical disturbance. Luckily, the wooden stick wasn't heavy and the man didn't use his full strength. So although it hurt, it wasn't unbearable. Dr. Yao, are you okay? The security immediately restrained the man, and the nurse quickly ran over to help him up. But Yaoanchi's head had been smashed and she lay unconscious in the nurse's arms. Dr. Yao. Emozishi could tell that someone was causing trouble. But how was he supposed to go over? Afterwards, he called Yaoanchi's phone again. This time, the person who picked up was a nurse. The nurse thought it was Yaoanchi's family. Anchi. Hello, this is the affiliated hospital. Dr. Yao has been smashed in the head and has fainted, the nurse immediately said. At this moment, Emozishi couldn't care about anything else. Yaoanchi had no other relatives and now that something had happened, he didn't know what to do. So he couldn't stay at home and wait for news. Chapter 12:26. After Emozishi arrived at the hospital, he parked his car in the underground car park. However, he did not walk into the hospital openly. Instead, he stopped near Yaoanchi's office. She overheard some gossip and found out that Yaoanchi had a cut on her head. She was currently bandaging it, and it wasn't serious. Emozishi relaxed and gave Yaoanchi a phone call. Where are you? I'm resting in the office. I'll go home in a while. After such a huge incident, it wouldn't reflect well on the department, so the director gave Yaoanchi a few days off and told her to go home and rest. Come to the underground car park, Emozishi said. Yaoanchi did not expect this man to personally make a trip here. After all, he didn't want to cause any trouble. But as soon as Yaoanchi saw him in the underground car park, she was shocked. You, get in the car, Emozishi said to her. There are so many people passing by. Do you want others to see it? Yaoanchi had no choice but to open Emozishi's car door, and the couple successfully left the hospital. However, Emozishi noticed that Yaoanchi's head was covered in bandages. Did you sneak a peek at Sister Chun? Yaoanchi asked innocently. Emozishi was stunned for a moment before he shook his head. I specifically came to pick you up. I heard about the medical dispute over the phone, so I was worried. Yaoanchi also froze for a moment. I thought. You think too much. He then led her towards Hyatt Regency. We agreed that we were going to see Xingxia. But my head injury. Did you think Xingxia would understand at such a young age? Emozishi asked. Yaoanchi remained silent and didn't reply. Just as Emozishi had said, Xingxia still didn't understand why he was injured. When the time came, all she had to do was comfort him a little. However, Emozishi never expected that someone would see him at the hospital. Everyone assumed that he was there to see Chen Jingrong. After all, the incident between the two caused quite a stir at the military base. So, as soon as Chen Jingrong heard about this, she sat up in bed in excitement. Zishi came to the hospital? Has Zishi been here before? Papa Chen looked at his daughter's good-for-nothing appearance, and was exasperated with her for not living up to his expectations. It's already like this. Why do you still care whether he came or not? Dad, you know how much I love Zishi. I'll never marry anyone but him. Even if you insist on marrying no one but him, you have to see if he's willing to marry you, right? Father Chen scoffed. Besides, you've already broken up. I will never allow anyone to humiliate my daughter over and over again. But Chen Jingrong didn't care what Father Chen thought. All she knew was that Mo Zishi had gone to the hospital, which meant he still couldn't let go of her. So, she immediately pulled out her phone and called Mo Zishi. However, she had no idea that Mo Zishi had already blacklisted her. Chen Jingrong did not give up, so she tried a few more times, but she still couldn't get through. Daughter, listen to your father's advice. Don't associate with that man anymore. Dad, as long as he still cares about me, I will never give up. After loving him for so many years, how could she give up so easily? Plus, she knew that Mo Zishi was about to propose to her. So, who was it that exposed her lie at a time like this? She really wanted to know. Mo Zishi had no idea that he had caused a huge stir in Chen Jingrong's heart. At that moment, he arrived at Hyatt Regency with Yao Anqi. As soon as he opened the door, he saw Xingzhe sitting on the carpet playing with his familiar toys. Meanwhile, Tongning stood to one side and prepared some snacks for him. Auntie. Tongning turned around and smiled. Come take a look at your son. Yao Anqi walked over and carried Xingzhe in her arms. She then hugged him tightly and kissed his cheeks. Mommy. Mommy. Seeing this, Mo Zishi could tell that the mother and son had a deep relationship. Tongning gestured for Mo Zishi to take the initiative and take care of the mother and son's feelings. After all, this was their second time at a place like this, so they were bound to feel uncomfortable. Tongning tried to ease Yao Anqi's nervousness. What happened to your head? A patient caused a medical disturbance and got a little injured. Yao Anqi explained as she hugged her son. In that case, you should stay at home and keep Xingzhe company. Treat it as a rest. After speaking, Tongning handed the keys to Yao Anqi. You can come in whenever you want. Next time, you don't need to trouble our neighbors. Auntie, I'm afraid this isn't a good idea. Zishi, convince her. Tongning said before she handed the keys to Mo Zishi. Mo Zishi placed the keys in Yao Anqi's pocket. Take it. Since my mom has already said it, she won't take it back. Yao Anqi did not say another word. She simply carried her son and followed Mo Zishi upstairs to look around his room. The room was currently filled with Xingzhe's belongings. It's a little messy. I haven't had time to tidy it up yet. Soon, the Mo family returned home one after another. First up was Mo Zian. This was her first time seeing Yao Anqi, so she greeted her warmly. Hello, sister-in-law. I'm not your sister-in-law. You will be very soon. Mo Zian winked at Mo Zishi. Big bro, you need to work hard. Sister-in-law still refuses to acknowledge your identity. That's what you get for bullying her in the past. Mo Zishi smiled and gestured for Mo Zian to stop. Don't make things difficult for Anqi. I know, I was just joking. Don't be angry, Yao Jia. Xingzhe must have been holding you for a long time. Let me hold you for a while. I've been thinking about it all day. Mo Zian said as she stretched out her arms towards Yao Anqi. Before Yao Anqi could respond, Xingzhe also pounced into Mo Zian's arms. Auntie didn't dote on you for nothing. Yao Anqi felt comforted. She could tell that Mo Zian really liked Xingzhe. You two chat, I'll take Xingzhe downstairs to play. In reality, Yao Anqi wanted to create an opportunity for the two. But she had no idea that the two of them were actually quite bored. After losing their child, they didn't know what to say. Especially since Yao Anqi was now certain that Mo Zishi had someone else in his heart. So she was even more unwilling to talk about relationships with him. My family is very friendly. If you feel like you're being put in a difficult position, just tell me. They'll know how to restrain themselves. Yao Anqi nodded her head. Actually, no matter what, she still felt restrained. Plus, Mo Zishi had never seen her smile before. She was always cold and didn't want anyone to get close to her. The two of them had nothing to say to each other. Mo Zishi also felt a little awkward, so he suggested, let's go downstairs. Okay, Yao Anqi replied obediently. The two of them hadn't interacted much, so they hadn't had the chance to get used to each other. Plus, Yao Anqi was purposely avoiding him. Mo Zishi felt that the two of them needed time to get closer. Chapter 12:27. Yao Anqi stayed behind for dinner. But she did not say a word during dinner, unlike Mo Zian, who could talk nonstop. A family like this was actually quite heartwarming. But Yao Anqi did not feel like it belonged to her, so she kept her heart away from them. Tongning sensed Yao Anqi's distance, but she did not force her. After the first time, there was bound to be a second and third time. That was when the time came to change the way she viewed family. After dinner, Yao Anqi decided to head home. After all, her son had seen her and she had achieved her goal, so she couldn't stay at the Mo family home forever. Mo Zishi knew it was impossible to make her stay, so he volunteered. "Let me take you home." "What do you mean by let me take you home?" "You should take me home," Mo Zian lectured. Yao Anqi did not object. After saying goodbye to the Mo family, she followed behind Mo Zishi and left the Mo family home one after another. However, on the way home, Mo Zishi said his thoughts to Yao Anqi. "I know you're still bothered by my relationship with Chen Jingrong. Perhaps you've never considered having anything to do with the Mo family. Anqi, you're a cold person, but I know you still want a family. Xingzhe needs a mother, and I need a wife. Since that's the case, can you consider becoming my partner? I will work hard to forget about the past because I want Xingzhe to have a complete family. I can't guarantee that I'll fall in love with you soon, but at least I will be a responsible husband. Once I get married, I will be loyal to my wife for life. Of course, if you have other plans, just pretend that I didn't say anything tonight. But if you listen to me a little, can you open up your heart to me a little? I know you're going to say that I'm thinking this because of the child. That's not wrong, but who's to say that this is a bad start? For years ago, I thought Chen Jingrong was you and we missed out. But for years later, fate has presented itself again. Can you take this opportunity for Xingzhe's sake? I'm not going to say that I'm outstanding, but at least I have the right values. I'm positive, I don't have bad habits, and I think I'm an ideal partner. If you really want to find a partner, then consider me first, okay? Mo Zishi spoke very seriously, and his reasoning was very sufficient. Even a woman would not be able to reject such a proposal, right? Above all, Yao Anqi still felt that because she couldn't abort her child, she was restricting Mo Zishi's life. But now, not only did Mo Zishi not blame her, he even begged her to open up a little. How could she reject someone like this? But can she really get happiness? Because of this, Yao Anqi was very nervous. She was afraid that once she took the first step, it would be too late to stop. It didn't take long before the couple arrived at Yao Anqi's home. After escorting her back to her room, Mo Zishi finally relaxed. However, before he left, he said in seriousness to Yao Anqi, "I hope you can consider my suggestion." Yao Anqi froze for a few seconds before finally nodding her head. After all, Xingzhe was the biggest link between them. She was an orphan herself, so she actually hoped that Xingzhe would grow up under the care of his parents. His heart was suddenly in a mess. As soon as Chen Jingrong found out that Mo Zishi had gone to the hospital, she tried to find out where he was. She couldn't get in touch with Mo Zishi, but she still returned to work. She assumed that as soon as Mo Zishi showed up and explained everything to him, they would get back together. Even when she told her superiors, she told them that nothing was going on between her and Mo Zishi. They would get married. As soon as Mo Zishi's friends heard this, they were shocked. Did Mo Zishi secretly get back together with Chen Jingrong behind their backs? Because of this, one of Mo Zishi's friends gave Mo Zishi a phone call. "Did you go to the hospital?" "Yes," Mo Zishi replied straightforwardly as he knew what his friend was asking. "Did you get back together with Chen Jingrong?" "I didn't go to the hospital to see Chen Jingrong. I went to pick up Yao Anqi. Anqi was beaten up. You scared me to death. I thought you forgave Chen Jingrong. I bet the people at the hospital thought you went to see Chen Jingrong when they saw you. Chen Jingrong believed you and now thinks she has a chance to get back together with you. So she's telling everyone that you've gotten back together." Mo Zishi's friend sighed and felt bad for Mo Zishi. He had a feeling that Chen Jingrong wouldn't stop clinging to him. On the other side, Mo Zishi fell silent. What do you plan to do now? If you plan to be with Yao Anqi, you can't let Chen Jingrong continue like this. I'll apply for a transfer, Mo Zishi replied. I don't want to get tangled up in things like this. Fine, now that things have gotten to this point, there's nothing you can do. But if you can apply for a transfer, what about Yao Anqi? I need to ask Anqi for her opinion. After all, I can't force her, Mo Zishi replied. If Anqi doesn't want to leave, then I'll try my best not to appear at the hospital. That's fine. Do as you see fit. I don't know how to describe Chen Jingrong anymore. He felt both pitiful and shameless. Clingy. Didn't she know what she had done? Why couldn't they set each other free? After hanging up the phone with his comrade, Mo Zishi fell into deep thought. It seemed he would have to leave the military soon, even though he already knew this day would come. So the next morning, Mo Zishi called his superior and asked for a transfer. As soon as his superior heard this, he was stunned. After all, Mo Zishi was his beloved general. How could he bear to let him go? Didn't Jingrong say that you guys made up? What are you trying to do now? Chief, you know that I already have a child. How could I possibly reconcile with her? Mo Zishi replied. I need to act like a father. Since you didn't plan to, why did you go to the hospital? I didn't go to the hospital to see Chen Jingrong. I went to pick up Angie. Angie's head was smashed, Mo Zishi explained. In other words, it was a misunderstanding. His superior sighed. It's hard for an upright official to settle a family dispute. So, I can't say much about your matter. Think about it carefully. You have to know what it means to be transferred. I'm sorry, Chief. I've let you down. Mo Zishi apologized sincerely. He was well aware of who helped him get to where he was today. Forget it. I can understand why you're doing this. Only by distancing himself from Chen Jingrong could the two of them be completely cut off. Mo Zishi needed to give Yao Anqi and himself an explanation. Zishi, from now on, come back and visit us often. Mo Zishi did not say a word. All he heard was a sigh from his superior. Chapter 1228. I hope the chief can keep this a secret. How about this? I'll contact my brother and see if I can transfer you to him. Let me tell you, my brother is amazing. He's the captain of the top special forces in the country. Everything will depend on your luck. Thank you, Chief. After all, they were teacher and student, so apart from thanking him, Mo Zishi had nothing else to say. As for Chen Jingrong, she was going to put on a one-woman show. As soon as his family found out that Mo Zishi was going to be transferred, they all supported him. Especially Mo Zian. Big bro, this is what I admire about you. You always do what you say and never hesitate over something like this. In that case, have you asked Anqi? Is she willing to leave with you? Tongning asked. If Anqi isn't willing, don't force her. As long as you don't appear at the hospital as often, that's fine. I understand, Mom. Also, I want to find another place to live. Anqi might not be used to being around so many people, and I want to find a place that's close to the special forces, so I can take care of the mother and son. After hearing this, Tongning thought for a moment and nodded her head. You decide for yourself. But, you need to convince Anqi to move in. Don't worry, I'm confident that I can do it. Before he went to the special forces, Mo Zishi needed to collect some information from the military. After all, it wasn't easy to get into the special forces. One had to go through a strict test and selection process. But Mo Zishi still wanted to give it a try. On the day he returned to the military base, Mo Zishi did not tell anyone, and avoided everyone's attention. After receiving the recommendation letter from the chief, he simply went to see a few of his friends to say goodbye. I know I can't stop you. Let's meet up outside. I'm so angry that I can't even stay at the military base because of that bitch. But if I was in her shoes, I would have no choice but to do this. Chen Jingrong is so scary. Zishi should hide from her. He's already said and done everything he could. What else does she want? Fantasizing on the side, it's really an eye-opener for me. Mo Zishi smiled and did not respond to Chen Jingrong's question. He simply hugged his friends and left. Afterwards, Mo Zishi drove over to Yao Anqi's home and knocked on the door. Seeing that she was tidying up, He sat down on the sofa and said, "I've applied for a transfer." "What?" Yao Anqi didn't quite understand. "I said I've already left the military base. Angie, I'm going to report to the special forces soon. Before that, I want to ask if you want to leave the hospital. Because I want to find a place to stay near the special forces and bring you and Xingzhe over." Yao Anqi was stunned for a moment before she replied, "I haven't considered leaving the hospital yet." "I guess so." Mo Zishi nodded his head. "But you're going to have to move, right?" "I have decided to bring Xingzhe over and take care of him ourselves. We will hire a reliable nanny to take care of him when we are busy. You don't have to worry about the awkwardness at home. I live in the army. Without your permission, I won't stay at home." Of course, Yao Anqi wanted to personally take care of Xingzhe. After all, the Mo family had their own matters to attend to. But she was in the hospital and too busy. If she could find a helper, she was more than willing to take care of her son herself. This was where Mo Zishi's cunning came from. Yao Anqi's current residence could barely accommodate one adult and one child. There was no room for anyone else. Even if it was for Xingzhe's sake, Yao Anqi would still agree. Plus, she was seriously considering Mo Zishi's suggestion the day before. If she really had to choose a husband, she would definitely choose her son's father. So she might as well give it a try. "Since you haven't said anything, I'll take that as a yes." After Yao Anqi finished packing her things, she nodded her head. "You've already arranged everything. I can't be picky." "Okay, I'll find a place to live as soon as possible and pick you up." However, up until this point, Yao Anqi had only spoken to Mo Zishi as a mother. She had never spoken to him from a woman's point of view. It seemed she had no intention of going that deep. Luckily, Mo Zishi understood her caution. After all, he was a man that had just broken up with his girlfriend. Before heading to the special forces, Mo Zishi found a suitable house nearby. It was quiet and had good security. It was perfect for his family of 3. It didn't take long before Mo Zishi found a house and gave Yao Anqi the address. He also told her to pack her things when she had time, so that he could pick them up. Apart from this, Mo Zishi also found a nanny. This nanny was 1 in 100. She had already retired, but she had nothing to do at home, so she continued to work as a nanny. The move seemed to be going smoothly, but it didn't take long before Chen Jingrong heard from her comrades that Mo Zishi had applied for a transfer. Because of this, she specifically went to look for her superior to verify the information. Her superior tried to beat around the bush, but in the end, she couldn't help but tell Chen Jingrong the truth. "Jingrong, let Mo Zishi go. Just pretend that the two of you weren't meant to be together. Since he doesn't want to get back together with me, why did he go to the hospital to show concern for me? He didn't go to the hospital to see you. Either way, don't overthink it," her superior comforted. Her superior comforted her. "Find a better man. I believe that you will live a happier life." Chen Jingrong was in disbelief. Everything was fine. Why did things suddenly change? If he didn't go to the hospital to see me, then who was he going to see? Either way, there's only one person. Chen Jingrong did not say a word. After leaving her superior's office, she took the opportunity to look at the surveillance footage from that day. She wanted to know why Mo Zishi went to the hospital. But the footage showed that Mo Zishi only stood there for a short while before he left. If he didn't show concern for her, then what was it for? Afterwards, Chen Jingrong found the car that Mo Zishi left in. There was another woman in the car. As for who it was too dark in the underground parking lot, so she couldn't see clearly. Was this the reason why Mo Zishi broke up with her? Was it because of this woman? At that moment, Chen Jingrong's chest was filled with anger. Mo Zishi broke up with her because he had a change of heart. Why did he bring up what happened 4 years ago? He simply wanted to find an excuse to break up with her. No, she had to find out where this woman came from. Chapter 1229. Because of this, Chen Jingrong frequently visited the hospital and used psychological intervention as an excuse to get to know a lot of young nurses. She wanted to hear some gossip, but the only person that knew that Mo Zishi had visited Yao Anqi was Yao Anqi's assistant. So after a few days of hard work, she found nothing. Yao Anqi had been busy packing for the past 2 days, because she was about to move into her new home. Therefore, he did not participate in the gossip that the nurses were talking about recently. Dr. Yao, you've been getting off work early recently. Because I'm moving house soon, Yao Anqi replied. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. Have a good rest, Dr. Yao. The assistant smiled at her. Yao Anqi knew that over the past few days, everyone inside and outside of the hospital was talking about Chen Jingrong and Mo Zishi, because Chen Jingrong had been visiting frequently for psychological intervention. But no one could have guessed that Mo Zishi and Yao Anqi had something to do with each other. After Yao Anqi kept a low profile and rarely interacted with others, especially after giving birth to Xingzhe, she paid extra attention to her privacy. So not many people in the hospital knew about her situation. When Yao Anqi heard that Chen Jingrong was still clinging onto the father of the child, she didn't feel much. After all, she could understand how a couple would react when they had just separated. But it had to be said that Mo Zishi really did it. He didn't care about it at all. After work, Yao Anqi returned home as usual. Today, Mo Zishi was coming over to help her move her things, so as soon as she got off work, she left in a hurry. By the time she returned home, Mo Zishi was already waiting outside with his car. Yao Anqi didn't tell Mo Zishi about the situation at the hospital, because she didn't want to burden him. As soon as Mo Zishi walked in through the front door, he noticed Yao Anqi had already packed up all the bedding. He was a little amused. There's everything over there. You didn't need to prepare this. All you needed to do was bring some clothes. I just think it's a pity, Yao Anqi replied. Also, you look too plain. From now on, we'll take care of Xingzhe together. If you have time, take care of yourself and dress yourself up. After speaking, Mo Zishi gestured to Yao Anqi. I'll take everything that Xingzhe is familiar with. You can buy everything new. That's settled then. After making his decision, Mo Zishi took Yao Anqi to the place he had arranged for the mother and son. He knew that Yao Anqi wouldn't want to live in a big villa, so this small courtyard wasn't luxurious at all. It looked simple and elegant, making Yao Anqi feel a lot more relaxed. At least, she could tell that Mo Zishi had put in a lot of effort. What do you need at home? If you like it, feel free to buy it. This is the nanny's contact number. You can contact her when you need it. I will pick up Xingzhe from the Mo family home tomorrow morning. Are you afraid of staying here alone tonight? Mo Zishi asked. I'm not afraid. But you haven't joined the special forces yet. Where are you going to sleep? I'm going out to meet a few comrades. It's nearby. Do you want to come with me? Mo Zishi replied as he picked up his jacket. According to Yao Anqi's personality, she was definitely afraid of trouble. But seeing how much effort Mo Zishi was putting in, she felt like she should do something too, so she replied, Okay. Mo Zishi was a little surprised. He thought he had heard wrong. He then smiled and said to Yao Anqi, Since you're going to dinner, you should get changed, right? You can't just wear a white coat, and people will think that you're going to save lives. In that case, wait for a moment. Wait for what? We're going out to buy a new set. Your clothes are still in the old house. I didn't bring them with me. After speaking, Mo Zishi led Yao Anqi out the door. Yao Anqi's personality was cold, and she was always adaptable to the situation. Mo Zishi could sense that she didn't like to fight for things. She was also calm and gentle like a chrysanthemum flower. It didn't take long before the two of them arrived at the meeting place. When they saw Yao Anqi, they looked at each other in confusion. Zishi, you're not bad. You've already brought your little sister-in-law out. Anqi is a shy person. Be more appropriate, Mo Zishi instructed. If you have a problem, come at me. Speaking of which, the fate between the two of you is perfect. I like people like Dr. Yao. Women are naturally feminine. Yao Anqi watched as Mo Zishi drank and chatted with his friends. Mo Zishi was very considerate of her feelings. Whenever his friends tried to make things difficult for him, he would do his best to stop them. In fact, he would even smile at her from time to time. Yao Anqi didn't talk much and was very quiet. But Mo Zishi's friends couldn't help but say, Bro, let me tell you, you found the right person this time. Look at Dr. Yao. She's sitting quietly by your side like a good wife. Isn't that great? Duodeng, you're right. Mo Zishi allowed them to joke around without explaining. After all, as long as everyone was happy, it was fine. However, Yao Anqi had no idea that Mo Zishi had drunk so much that by the time the dinner was over, he was already unconscious. Let's have another drink. Seeing that Mo Zishi was drunk, his friends said to Yao Anqi, sister-in-law, they're older than Zishi and I'm younger than him. Please don't mind us messing around. It's fine. Sister-in-law, Zishi really cares about his family. As you know, everyone from the Mo family is outstanding. So please don't mind what happened between Zishi and Chen Jingrong in the past. For Zishi, it's already in the past. Since he's given up, he won't continue to be with her. Don't worry about that. By the way, you've worked hard over the years. When Zishi talked to us about you, he was filled with guilt. He felt that you and your mother suffered a lot. I hope the two of you can be happy from now on. Actually, Yao Anqi and Mo Zishi's relationship hadn't reached that point yet. But because they had a child together, it was natural for them to be seen as a couple. Yao Anqi did not explain as she held on to Mo Zishi. After he got drunk, he didn't act ugly. He simply lay down and slept. Of course, Yao Anqi sighed. Mo Zishi was indeed a good friend. Even in a situation like this, he still spoke up for him. From now on, I'll leave Zishi in your care. Yao Anqi nodded her head in a daze. Under the escort of her brothers, she returned to her new home. Originally, Mo Zishi was supposed to return to Hyatt Regency to get some rest, but now that he was completely drunk, where else could he go? After returning home, Yao Anqi placed him on the sofa and headed into the kitchen to make soup to sober him up. After she was done, she returned to the living room to find Mo Zishi sleeping soundly. Yao Anqi was well aware that her relationship with Mo Zishi and Chen Jingrong couldn't be severed, but, it seemed, she had the right to pursue her own happiness. Chapter 1230. The next morning, Mo Zishi woke up on the sofa to find a freshly heated bowl of hangover soup on the table. He picked it up and drank it in one gulp. When he looked at home, Yao Anqi had already left for work. From the looks of it, she had already heated up the soup before she left. Mo Zishi had promised to pick up Xingxia from Hyatt Regency. So, after washing up in the bathroom, he immediately drove home. But when she heard that Mo Zishi wanted to take her son away, Mo Zian was extremely unwilling. Why don't you give him to me? You and Yao Jie can have another child and I can have little Xingxing. Mo Zian truly liked Xingxia, mainly because he was too obedient and too adorable. No, I have to take Xingxia away today. Bro, I'm doing this for your own good, okay? Look, whenever Xingxia comes home, Yao Jie's eyes will always be on our son. Who would want to look at an old man like you? I'm helping you create an opportunity. You're the only one who knows how to twist words. If you stay at home all day with Xingxia, who's going to manage Hairue? I'd be a fool if Dad tolerated you. Mo Zian's words hit the nail on the head. Although Mo Ting didn't say it out loud, the three of them had caused Tongning a lot of worry. So because of this, she couldn't be stubborn anymore. Okay, I'll give you back your son. But you need to bring him home often, okay? Xingxia clung on to Mo Zian. Although they had only known each other for a few days, Mo Zian took good care of her nephew. Bro, you didn't even install a child seat in your car. How am I supposed to leave Xingxia on your own? I'll drive you to Hairue when the time comes. Mo Zishi couldn't bear to part with Xingxia, because Xingxia kept calling out to him. Seeing how much she liked children, Mo Zishi couldn't help but say, since you like children so much, you should have one of your own. I don't like children, I only like little Xingxing. It's fate. Afterwards, the siblings took Xingxia to Mo Zishi's new home. Mo Zian looked around and noticed the blanket on the sofa that hadn't been tidied up. She immediately laughed. Don't tell me you're still sleeping on the sofa. What else? Mo Zishi shrugged. I have to say, big brother, you really deserve it. I hope Yao Jie can torture you as much as she wants. That would make me very happy. After speaking, Mo Zian kissed little Xingxia a few more times before leaving reluctantly. Now, Mo Zishi was left alone with his son. To make his son like him, Mo Zishi patiently tried to communicate with Xingzhe. But it was normal for men to be slow in taking care of children. So he had no idea what Xingzhe liked or how he reacted. In the end, he ended up calling Yao Anqi for help. Yao Anqi had just finished a surgery. When she saw it was Mo Zishi, she immediately picked up. What's wrong? Are you still feeling unwell? No. How does Xingzhe react when he's hungry or sleepy? Tell me, I don't know what to do. It was his first time becoming a father, so he couldn't get used to it. That was because it was truly too miraculous. The blood flowing through this little thing's body was the same as his own blood. This sort of feeling caused him to feel extremely marvelous. When he's hungry, he'll stare at the bottle. When he's sleepy, he'll close his eyes and sleep. No wonder. I understand now. I will wait for you to come back and save my life. When Yao Anqi heard this, she couldn't help but laugh. This surprised the assistant. Dr. Yao, you're laughing. Did I? The nurse nodded her head. I saw it with my own eyes. Did something good happen at home recently? Not really. But you should smile more. You look really good when you smile. Yao Anqi nodded her head before she returned to her serious expression. However, the thought of Mo Zishi and Xingzhe alone together made her feel like she was going to laugh. For some reason, the idea of a family of 3 made Yao Anqi feel a little warm. But when she thought about the hidden dangers, she returned to her cold expression. After all, she still didn't trust Mo Zishi enough. Meanwhile, Chen Jingrong continued to search for the woman. But after searching for so long, she still couldn't find any information. Chen Jingrong knew that Mo Zishi's brothers were well aware of this, but they refused to tell her. Because of this, Chen Jingrong found one of them and asked him about Mo Zishi's situation. Jingrong, it's not that I don't want to tell you, but Zishi has already made things clear to you. If you continue to pester him, it won't do anyone any good. When Chen Jingrong heard this explanation, she couldn't help but sneer. Did he make things clear? He didn't tell me that he cheated on me and got together with someone else. He even kicked me away. Did he make things clear? It's not what you think, the comrade explained. Do you really want everyone to make things clear before you stop in embarrassment? How am I embarrassing? Chen Jingrong continued to be stubborn. Mo Zishi broke up with me and got together with another woman. How could I be more embarrassed than him? For years ago, you didn't just hurt Zishi. Think about it, was it fair to treat another woman? You selfishly took over Zishi and left an orphan and a widow with no one to care for her. You were in the wrong, so you have no right to continue chasing after Zishi. What other woman? What orphan and widow? Explain everything clearly to me. Chen Jingrong caught onto the crux of the matter and forced the comrade to answer. Stop asking. Asking will only make you feel worse. After speaking, the comrade pushed her out the door and shut it tightly. Chen Jingrong did not give up, so she went to look for another comrade. But this time she was a lot smarter. As soon as the comrade opened the door, she said, I know that I've wronged the other woman. I'm looking for Zishi, because I want to personally apologize to him. Jingrong, it's good that you have this intention, but I don't think Zishi would allow you to disturb the mother and son for any reason. In other words, the woman that Zishi slept with 4 years ago already gave birth to Zishi's son? Is that so? Am I right? I can't comment on anything else. If that was the case, then things were easy to deal with. 4 years ago, there weren't a lot of people that went out drinking with the military. All she had to do was ask who had a child, and she would be able to find out who it was. Chen Jingrong never expected, it turned out, it was because this woman came knocking on her door that she exposed her and snatched Mo Zishi away. No, she couldn't steal that woman away. If Mo Zishi was really with her because of his child, then she was confident that she could get him back. She believed that she understood Mo Zishi very well. Chapter 1231. Afterwards, Chen Jingrong immediately went to the hospital to find out which doctors were married, and which ones had children. As soon as she asked, the answer was obvious. After all, everyone at the hospital knew that Yao Anqi was pregnant and had children. Yao Anqi, a mere emergency department doctor, actually dared to steal her man. She was way too brave. Needless to say, Chen Jingrong immediately found Yao Anqi's department. As soon as she saw the legendary Dr. Yao, she immediately pulled Yao Anqi to the side and reached out her hand to slap her across the face. But Yao Anqi grabbed onto her wrist. "Miss Chen, what are you trying to do?" "What am I trying to do? Why didn't you ask me this before you stole Mo Zixi man?" Chen Jingrong asked. "You obviously know that Mo Zixi and I have been together for 4 years. What kind of mentality did you have? Why did you break us up and become a third party?" Everyone at the hospital immediately gathered around. After all, this was a piece of gossip. Everyone already knew about Chen Jingrong and Mo Zixi's relationship. Now that Chen Jingrong was looking for Yao Anqi, wasn't the answer obvious? Could it be that Yao Anqi was the culprit that destroyed someone else's happiness? However, Yao Anqi did not panic as she said straightforwardly, "Do you want me to tell you how despicable and senseless you were 4 years ago? How you stripped naked next to Major Mo and pretended to sleep with him? If you want to consider me a third party, then in this relationship, you are the third party. I'm not. At most, you're someone who came later." After hearing this, Chen Jingrong was shocked. "Would you believe that I can make it so that you can't survive in the hospital? Are you threatening me? I'm an orphan. What's there to be afraid of? Plus, do you really think you can do whatever you want in Beijing? I don't think you can do that with your family's connections." After speaking, Yao Anqi pushed Chen Jingrong away. "I don't like to cause trouble, but I'm not afraid of trouble. I'm all alone. When the time comes, I can fight you to the death. You're not afraid of trouble? Is the child that you gave birth to legally? You don't need to worry about that. If there's nothing else, I'm going to leave." After speaking, Yao Anqi walked away from Chen Jingrong and said to the onlookers, "What are you looking at? Why aren't you going back to work?" Only then did the people at the hospital look at Yao Anqi in a new light. It turned out, Dr. Yao, who never fought for anything and had a natural temperament, was quite handsome when she was angry. Plus, according to Yao Anqi, Chen Jingrong actually did something so despicable just to get her hands on Mo Zixi. No wonder Mo Zixi broke up with her so decisively after finding out. The incident quickly spread like wildfire, but Yao Anqi acted like nothing had happened. After all, as long as she knew her place, she was not afraid. Since Chen Jingrong was the despicable person, there was no way she was going to back down. After the assistant found out, he couldn't help but ask Yao Anqi in private, "Dr. Yao, I never imagined that Major Mo was really little Xingxing's father. In that case, why didn't you look for him for the past 4 years?" "There is no reason." "Okay, I know you don't want to answer. Then does Little Star have a father now?" "Of course. But it wasn't legal yet. It didn't take long before Mo Zixi found out about what happened at the hospital." Although he didn't know how Chen Jingrong dug Yao Anqi out, when he saw the video someone recorded and heard Yao Anqi say that she was all alone, his heart was moved. Afterwards, when Chen Jingrong mentioned that it wasn't legal, Mo Zixi's eyes darkened. All these years, Chen Jingrong had disguised herself too well. So well that he had no idea that the crazy Chen Jingrong was capable of biting anyone. He really wanted Yao Anqi to leave that troublesome place, because he knew that there was no point in being entangled with Chen Jingrong. But Yao Anqi also needed to be willing. That night, Yao Anqi returned home from work. When she saw Xingxia sleeping soundly in his father's arms, her expression relaxed a little. Afterwards, she put down her bag and carried Xingxia from Mo Zixi's arms. Mo Zixi stood up and said, "I already know about what happened at the hospital, but I wasn't the one who told her. I already knew about her actions at the hospital, so I expected her to find out." Yao Anqi replied, "Even if she comes looking for me, I won't be afraid. After all, her man is right in front of me right now." "Anqi, I know what you want to say, but I'm not as weak as you think." After speaking, Yao Anqi comforted Xingxia and carried him into the nursery. Mo Zixi followed behind Yao Anqi for quite some time before he finally said, "I don't know what I should do to show my support and protection for you. There's something in the video that made me feel really bad. So, I've been thinking about it at home all day. I think I want Xingxia's birth to be legal, and I want you to have a legitimate identity. Of course, if you don't want to, I can wait." After hearing this, Yao Anqi turned around and looked at Mo Zishi. Did you make this decision carefully? Of course I did. I told you before, if you don't marry me, I will take care of Xingzhe and never marry again. Mo Zishi replied in seriousness. After all, I'm a father now. I want to be a good role model for my child. I can apply for leave tomorrow morning, Yao Anqi replied. My ID is in the drawer in the bedroom upstairs. You agree? Isn't it just like you said? I need confidence, and I don't want Xingzhe to be judged by others. But Mo Zishi, I'm only going to say this once. I get hurt easily and hold grudges easily. Most importantly, if you want to lie to me, don't let me know that I'm not ready to be your wife yet. I'm doing this for Xingzhe, so I'm willing to give it a try. But you can't force me. Mo Zishi nodded his head. I understand and understand. In front of me, you don't need to be so affectionate. You just broke up with someone not too long ago and relationships are built up over time. I understand that. But since you've decided to get married, you need to be on the same side as me. Of course, Mo Zishi nodded. You don't need to propose. You can make it up to me when you actually fall in love with me. Right now, it doesn't really matter. All they needed to do was register their ID and confirm their relationship. Then, no matter how much Chen Jingrong threw a tantrum, nothing would happen. Yao Anqi wasn't afraid that Chen Jingrong would throw a tantrum. She was simply afraid that her words would cause Xingzhe to get hurt. Are you still going to stay at the hospital? Why should I leave because of her? I didn't do anything wrong. Mo Zishi couldn't help but laugh. I originally thought that your indifference was because you were afraid of trouble and didn't want to fight for it. That depends on who you're dealing with. Chapter 1232. That night, the couple slept in separate rooms. Yao Anqi slept in the master bedroom with little Xingzhe, while Mo Zishi slept in the guest room. Mo Zishi placed his hands under his head and thought back to everything that happened between him and Chen Jingrong over the past 4 years. He never thought about it in detail before, but now that he thought about it, everything seemed to be filled with lies. This was all a dream created by Chen Jingrong. But the funny thing was, they would eventually wake up from this dream. He thought about Yao Anqi, the woman who had endured so many hardships for him. He felt like he owed Yao Anqi and little Xingzhe too much. The next morning, the couple took Xingzhe to the Civil Affairs office to complete the paperwork. As their identities were special, Mo Zishi even brought out the marriage report he received from his superiors before he left the military base. Why did you only register for marriage when the baby is already so big? The staff questioned the couple. Most importantly, they wanted to ask Mo Zishi why he only realized he needed to take responsibility when the child was already 3 years old. Mo Zishi smiled as he looked at Yao Anqi and replied, I took a lot of detours before, but haven't I finally found the correct answer? The staff glared at him and finally issued the documents to them. In reality, the two of them had followed in the footsteps of Tongning and Mo Ting. Of course, when Mo Ting and Tongning got married, they didn't have any emotional foundation. In fact, they didn't even know each other. And now between them, at least, there is a child. However, even though they were officially husband and wife, there were still a lot of knots in their hearts that needed to be undone. However, Mo Zishi was not in a rush. After all, he would have plenty of time to get to know this woman. After registering their marriage, Yao Anqi rushed back to the hospital for work. Of course, the red marriage certificate was still in her handbag. Yesterday, Chen Jingrong caused a ruckus, so today, she signed up with Mo Zishi for no other reason than because Mo Zishi was determined to leave Chen Jingrong. Deep down, she knew that the reason Mo Zishi completely gave up on Chen Jingrong was because of Chen Jingrong's endless lies, not because of her involvement. Since she had a clear conscience, she was going to ignore Chen Jingrong. Dr. Yao, you took the morning off. Chen Jingrong came to make a scene again. The assistant looked at Yao Anqi awkwardly and said, she might even come over this afternoon. It's fine, just do what you have to do. As soon as Yao Anqi returned to the hospital, she returned to her icy cold self. The assistant nodded her head. She was worried that Yao Anqi's reputation would be ruined by Chen Jingrong, and people would misunderstand her. Causing a scene like this in the military was already very embarrassing, but Chen Jingrong was willing to throw caution to the wind. But no matter what, Chen Jingrong couldn't accept it. Although Yao Anqi and Mo Zishi had a physical relationship that night, she had still been by his side for 4 years. Could it be that 4 years couldn't even compare to one night with that woman? She had no idea why Mo Zishi broke up with her. After all, a relationship couldn't be measured by how long it lasted. If you didn't give your heart, even if you were together for 10, 20, or 30 years, what difference did it make? Chen Jingrong felt like she had given up everything. She even went as far as lying to Mo Zishi. She could do so much for Mo Zishi, but could Yao Anqi? But time would tell her that she was only deceiving herself. After registering with Yao Anqi, Mo Zishi knew he couldn't ignore Chen Jingrong's matter anymore. So he contacted his superior. His superior heard about the commotion Chen Jingrong caused at the hospital, so he couldn't help but sigh. This Chen Jingrong has completely embarrassed the military. Don't worry, I will talk to her. If worse comes to worst, we'll have to use force. Chen Jingrong knew that she would be asked to talk to him sooner or later. She believed that she was willing to give up everything for Mo Zishi. Chen Jingrong, how far are you going to push things before you give up? Chief, I want Mo Zishi to come out and see me, Chen Jingrong said firmly. Otherwise, I will continue to cause trouble. What kind of place do you think the military is? Do you have any discipline? How will the hospital view us because of something like this? You'll be locked up for 7 days. If you continue to cause trouble at the hospital, you can go home. I'll set you free forever. Go look for Mo Zishi. Chen Jingrong left the chief's office in tears. But there was nothing she could do. She refused to give up on this child. Mo Zishi was already married, yet Chen Jingrong continued to cause trouble. How could she allow this? Meanwhile, at the hospital, Yao Anqi was expecting Chen Jingrong to cause trouble again. So she prepared herself for a fight. But to her surprise, Chen Jingrong did not show up. In the end, she found out that Chen Jingrong had been locked up for 7 days. Although Yao Anqi was only guessing, she had a feeling that it had something to do with Mo Zishi. That night, Yao Anqi returned home to find Mo Zishi dancing with Xingzhe. She immediately let out a laugh. As soon as Mo Zishi saw Yao Anqi at the door, he awkwardly turned off the nursery rhyme on the television. I thought it would be a while before you came home. The ER isn't busy today, so I came home early, Yao Anqi said as she bought some groceries. Mo Zishi's eyes lit up. You know how to cook? How else am I supposed to live? Play with Xingzhe for a bit. Dinner will be ready in half an hour. Mo Zishi was a picky eater. But that was because Mo Ting and Tongning's cooking was always the best. So the Mo family couldn't stand the outside world. Plus, Yao Anqi's hands were obviously used to holding scalpels. So, seeing her holding a kitchen knife made him a little uncomfortable. By the way, did you know that Chen Jingrong has been locked up? Really? Mo Zishi asked. I guess it's because she's affected the military's image. I'm actually not that afraid of her. After all, we will still see each other in the future. Yao Anqi said to Mo Zishi as he held Xingzhe in his arms as she cooked. But when she saw the pacifier in Xingzhe's mouth, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Xingzhe hasn't used that thing for a long time. Really? No experience. Mo Zishi immediately pulled the pacifier out of Xingzhe's mouth. But as soon as he pulled it out, Xingzhe started crying. Mo Zishi comforted him for a while before he looked at Yao Anqi helplessly. Yao Anqi let out a laugh and placed the pacifier back into Xingzhe's mouth. The little rascal immediately stopped crying. Didn't you say that you don't need it anymore? Why are you so obedient? Yao Anqi asked. If I don't listen to my wife, who else would I listen to? Mo Zishi asked. Yao Anqi's heart sank as she casually commented. You used to have bad taste. Chapter 1233. Mo Zishi shrugged his shoulders, but he did not say anything bad about Chen Jingrong. This was his final act of grace towards her. After dinner, Mo Zishi took little Xingzhe to the bathroom for a bath. But Yao Anqi spotted him and carried him out of the water. Emozishi followed behind, a little confused. The bath isn't done yet. Xingzhe has hemolysis and his immune system is low. He shouldn't stay in the water for too long, Yao Anqi said before she carried Xingzhe back to the master bedroom and placed him on the bed. After hearing this, Emozishi felt extremely guilty. I'm sorry. Yao Anqi was silent for a moment before she sighed and turned around. Go change your clothes in case you catch a cold. Emozishi looked at his clothes and nodded. In that case, when I come out, teach me how to do it properly. Yao Anqi did not say anything else as she nodded her head. Emozishi was a new father, so sometimes he wasn't as mature as a woman. So, he sometimes forgot that Xingzhe was sick. Because of this, he needed Yao Anqi to watch over him. After changing into a new set of clothes, Yao Anqi returned to the bedroom. She had already prepared everything. She turned on the shower and turned on the air conditioner. This will make Xingzhe feel better. Go in. Emozishi looked at the bathtub helplessly. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have changed. Yao Anqi knew that Emozishi was pretending to be relaxed to make her less nervous. Over the past 2 days, she had slowly come to accept the fact that she was married. As for Emozishi's existence, she was no longer as repulsed. Meanwhile, Xingzhe was even happier. Perhaps he didn't know what it meant to be a father, but he could clearly feel that he was in a place that was safer than his mother's embrace. Emozishi jumped into the water and played with his son. Seeing this, Yao Anqi did not disturb them any further. She simply closed the bathroom door and allowed the father and son to bond. Actually, this kind of life wasn't bad. Especially Xingzhe, who was extremely happy. That night, it wasn't easy for Emozishi to coax Xingzhe to sleep. Before he left the master bedroom, he said to Yao Anqi, I'll get the nanny to look after Xingyan tomorrow. I need to report to the special forces tomorrow. Okay, Yao Anqi replied. Don't worry. Although they have a good reputation, I still installed a camera in the house. You will be able to see everything that happens in the house. Tomorrow, I'll buy some food and leave it at home. It should be enough for you and your son to eat for a while. The nanny will buy the rest for you. Also, I've left my card on your bedside table. If you need anything, just swipe it. Yao Anqi listened quietly without replying. After a while, she finally asked, Anything else? Also, after I join the special forces, it's even more impossible for me to see Chen Jingrong. Don't worry. Yao Anqi smiled and nodded. Sure, I'll remember what you said. Then you and Xingzhe should sleep. After speaking, Emozishi turned around and left the bedroom. Yao Anqi did not try to stop him. Although he was a little disappointed, she did not force him. After all, he was the one who didn't take care of Xingzhe's health that night. He made himself seem especially childish and unable to handle the responsibilities of a father. It was understandable that Yao Anqi didn't trust him. But for some reason, as he lay in bed, Emozishi spent most of his time thinking about Yao Anqi and the child in the master bedroom. These two people practically occupied half his mind. The next morning, Emozishi woke up early. Seeing that Yao Anqi hadn't woken up yet, he snuck into the bedroom and laid down on Xingzhe's bed to look at his son's obedient face. He seemed to be having a sweet dream, waving his little hands from time to time. Xingzhe, I let you down last night. I almost made you fall sick. Emozishi leaned over and placed a kiss on Xingzhe's cheek, unwilling to let him go. Daddy is going to the army, so I might not be able to see you for a while. That's why I decided to take a photo of you. That way, when I miss you, I can take a look at you. Yao Anqi was awoken by Emozishi, but she did not get up. Just like that, Emozishi sat by Xingzhe's bedside and spoke to him for half an hour. He also took a lot of photos. She never expected this man to be so affectionate. Yao Anqi couldn't take it anymore, so she finally turned on the bedside lamp and pulled out a photo album from her drawer. She then handed a photo of her and Xingzhe to Emozishi. This is for you. Did I wake you up? If you don't turn on the light, how could you take a clear photo? Because it was too dark and Emozishi did not dare to turn on the flash. The photo only showed a dark blur. I simply hope that after I go to the army, I'll have something to remember, Emozishi replied. I know. You've already done enough by giving us such a good living environment. You don't need to carry any more burdens on your shoulders, Yao Anqi said as she looked at Xingzhe. When you have time, come home often. Of course I will. Mo Zishi could no longer hold back as he pulled Yao Anqi into his embrace and hugged her tightly. But he did not do anything else as he quickly left with the photo. Yao Anqi's heart moved a little. After all, she knew that Mo Zishi was a man with an indomitable spirit. So as soon as Mo Zishi left, she chased after him barefooted and grabbed onto his arm. Xingzhe and I will be waiting for you at home. At this time the sky was dark, but as soon as Mo Zishi lowered his head, he noticed Yao Anqi standing barefoot on the steps. So he immediately rushed into the house and retrieved her shoes. He then knelt down and helped her put them on one at a time. Remember, no matter what happens, give me a phone call. Or, you can go to Hyatt Regency. Okay. Go in, it's quite cold outside. Yao Anqi nodded. After Mo Zishi left, she turned around and returned to the master bedroom. It wasn't that she didn't remember the night from 4 years ago. That night, when she was passionately intertwined with that man, her mind kept replaying the scene. Perhaps because of this, Yao Anqi felt a natural familiarity with Mo Zishi, because they existed in each other's memories. Because of this, it was easy for her to fall in love with him. Plus, ever since Mo Zishi found out about her and Xingzhe's existence, he had done so much for them. This man was definitely worth trusting. So, she decided to work hard to fit in as a wife. At the very least, she wanted him to be her husband and sleep in the master bedroom. At that time, Chen Jingrong was locked up in solitary confinement. She still wanted to see Mo Zishi after she was released. But she had no idea that Mo Zishi had already joined the special forces. Chapter 1234. After 7 days of confinement, Chen Jingrong immediately returned to the military. But she couldn't go to the hospital to cause trouble for Yao Anqi, because she had promised her superiors. Otherwise, she would be kicked out of the military base. Yao Anqi continued to work day after day. But there were times when she would receive phone calls from Mo Zishi or messages from him. Yao Anqi never returned his calls. Every time she did say a few words, she would end up hanging up because she had an emergency patient. Because of this, Yao Anqi's assistant said to Yao Anqi, "Dr. Yao, aren't you being too cold towards Major Mo?" "Am I?" Yao Anqi's assistant quickly nodded. "You're super cold." "That's just how I talk," Yao Anqi explained. "Even if you ask me to speak softly, I won't." Yao Anqi's assistant nodded her head. It made sense. If the gentle Yao Anqi heard this, she would have thought she had seen a ghost. Actually, Yao Anqi had always been the gentle type. As long as she sat in her office without saying a word, she would look like a pretty daughter from a humble family. I'm just giving you a suggestion. After all, you and Major Mo are in that kind of relationship. Don't couples care about each other when they speak? You can be a little less formal. Although Yao Anqi did not respond, she took her assistant's words to heart. Mo Zishi was gone for 7 days. Apart from phone calls, she didn't see him at all. What kind of couple were they? However, Yao Anqi understood that Mo Zishi was a soldier. That day after work, Yao Anqi was about to return home to take care of the kids when she was stopped by Chen Jingrong, who was dressed in casual clothes. "I don't have a military rank right now. I'm just a normal woman. Why don't you talk to me for a bit?" Yao Anqi didn't want to talk to Chen Jingrong, so she flagged down a taxi and headed home. But Chen Jingrong grabbed onto the car door. "Even if you ignore me right now, we'll eventually talk things out. Why are you avoiding me? Perhaps after talking to you, I'll let go. Who knows? But I don't want to waste time with you. You've already won. Zishi is already yours. Can't you sympathize with the weak?" Chen Jingrong held onto Yao Anqi's hand as her eyes turned red. "I have nothing now. My man, my youth, my feelings." After Yao Anqi heard this, she closed the car door and sat down with Chen Jingrong in the nearby rest area. "Tell me, what else do you want? I know that you and Zishi have a child, but you don't want Zishi to be with you because of his responsibilities, right? I believe that Zishi still loves me. That's why I came looking for you. I can only beg you to return Zishi to me. If worst comes to worst, I'll raise your child for you." After hearing Chen Jingrong's words, Yao Anqi let out a laugh. You should be asking Mo Zishi whether he still loves you, not me. Plus, I can't give him back to you just because you beg me. He's not an object that can be pushed around. Most importantly, he is the one that makes the decision. Plus, I can raise my own child. I don't need a stepmother. You're overthinking this. Lastly, you don't seem to understand why Mo Zishi cut off all ties with you. It wasn't because of me and Xingzhe, it was because of your lies. I'm sure you know how many lies you've told Mo Zishi over the past 4 years. Put yourself in his shoes. If someone lied to you the same way, how would you feel? Didn't you suspect Mo Zishi of being with me behind your back? At this moment, Chen Jingrong burst into tears. I didn't do it on purpose. I simply loved him too much. The only person you love the most is yourself. I've never forced Mo Zishi to leave at any time. A person's heart can't be forced, whether it's towards you or me. After speaking, the conversation came to an end. Yao Anqi understood that Chen Jingrong was upset, but there were some things that couldn't be changed. After all, the hurt that Chen Jingrong suffered in the past couldn't go back. Plus, this wasn't Mo Zishi's fault. That night, while Yao Anqi was bathing little Xingzhe, he kept calling for his father. Perhaps Mo Zishi knew that his son missed him, so he actually returned home. As soon as he arrived home, the first thing he did was pull Xingzhe into his arms and kiss him. When Yao Anqi saw this, she couldn't help but ask, "Why do you look a little tanner?" Training is very important and I only have 8 hours before I have to leave at 5 a.m. tomorrow. So I quickly came back to see Xingzhe. And you? After Yao Anqi heard this, she said to Mo Zishi, Chen Jingrong came looking for me again today and begged me to let you go. Staying by your mother and son's side is my own choice. It has nothing to do with you. There's no point in her looking for you. That's what I told her, Yao Anqi replied. Let's not talk about this. I'm hungry. Is there anything to eat? Mo Zishi changed the subject. He didn't want to spend a few short hours talking about irrelevant people. Go back to bathing, Xingzhe. I'll go make you some food, Yao Anqi said. It'll be ready in a bit. Okay. Mo Zishi nodded his head as he quickly placed his son back into the bathtub and carefully wiped him down. Xingzhe was so excited that he almost danced in the bathtub after hearing that his father was home. So Mo Zishi took this opportunity to wash himself clean. By the time he walked out of the bedroom, the father and son were both handsome. Give me my son. You go eat. Go eat, Yao Anqi said. I can hug my son and eat. Mo Zishi couldn't bear to let his son go. He never knew that having this little one would make him miss him so much. Every day, he couldn't wait to finish his training so he could video chat with Yao Anqi. He won't be comfortable. No, I'll hug him. Yao Anqi had no choice but to let him be. Meanwhile, Mo Zishi couldn't hide the smile on his face as soon as he saw his wife and son. The happiness he felt was hard to describe, but it came from the bottom of his heart. It's already 10 p.m. Xingzhe should get some rest. I'll hug him for a bit longer. I'll let you look at him all you want tonight. Give him to me first, Yao Anqi said helplessly. Yao Anqi said helplessly. Why don't you sleep in the master bedroom tonight? I think that way, you can see your son the entire night. What about you? As long as you don't disturb my rest, Yao Anqi said as she lowered her head. In other words, the two of them were sleeping together? Was that what she meant? Mo Zishi was afraid that he had misunderstood, so he asked, Are you sleeping in the master bedroom too? Chapter 12:35. Mo Zishi was already done with his shower. So, as he walked into the master bedroom, he carried Xingzhe and watched as Yao Anqi walked into the bathroom with a bathrobe. He felt a little uncomfortable. Luckily, Xingzhe was very understanding. Knowing that his father was a little shy, he grabbed onto the back of his hand. Mo Zishi placed Xingzhe in the middle of the bed and sang a lullaby to coax his son to sleep. To him, his son was the most important thing that night. But he had completely underestimated Yao Anqi's figure. After her shower, Yao Anqi walked out of the bathroom in a bathrobe. But Mo Zishi could still sense how mature and alluring her body was underneath the bathrobe. So he quickly averted his gaze and looked at Xingjia's bed. Yao Anqi walked over to the vanity and wiped her face like there was no one around. But as the bathrobe slid down her legs were exposed to Emozishi's gaze. Emozishi felt a little helpless, so he reminded her. Can you pull the bathrobe up properly? Yao Anqi was a little surprised as she looked down at her clothes. She didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I'm a healthy, mature man, Emozishi immediately explained. Because Yao Anqi was a doctor, she wasn't surprised by this. So she did not avoid Emozishi. Since Emozishi had a problem with it, she still pulled the bathrobe up. Afterwards, Yao Anqi lay down on the bed and looked through the surgery schedule for the next day. Meanwhile, after coaxing Xingjia to sleep, Emozishi felt a little awkward. But he still walked over to the bed, pulled aside the blankets and lay down beside Yao Anqi. Good night. Yao Anqi did not say a word to Emozishi. Instead, she put down the documents in her hands, lay down and turned off the bedside lamp. Emozishi also turned off the lamp. In the dark, neither of them spoke a word. All that could be heard was the sound of steady breathing. Beside him, Yao Anqi's fragrance wafted into his nose. Emozishi felt a sense of familiarity. That night 4 years ago, even though they were both drunk, at this moment, the familiar scent filled his nostrils and Emozishi felt his body heat up. So he subconsciously distanced himself from Yao Anqi, so she wouldn't discover this awkward truth. Actually, Yao Anqi knew that night and remembered it clearly. Now that the same man was sleeping next to her, she didn't feel sleepy at all. Zishi! Yao Anqi suddenly shouted. Huh. Emozishi immediately responded. Why aren't you asleep yet? I can't sleep, Yao Anqi replied. Maybe it's because I'm not used to someone suddenly lying next to me. Should I sleep on the sofa outside? Emozishi asked. There's no need. I'll get used to it sooner or later anyway. After speaking, Yao Anqi did not continue and Emozishi did not return to the sofa like he had said. It wasn't easy for him to sneak into the master bedroom. How could he leave so easily? Now, Xingjia was sleeping in a small bed while the woman that he had let down for 4 years was lying on a large bed. This time, no matter what, he wasn't going to leave. So in the dark, Emozishi stretched out his hand and placed it on Yao Anqi's waist. Surprisingly, Yao Anqi did not reject him. This seemed to be a kind of tacit understanding, as well as a kind of consensus. In fact, both of them were trying to get closer to each other. At the very least, since the opportunity had come, they had to seize it. That same night, Chen Jingrong was completely drunk outside. She couldn't see Emozishi, nor could she convince Yao Anqi to give him back to her. So, she had no choice but to break military rules and get drunk. A lot of people tried to hit on her at the bar, and even offered to take her home. Chen Jingrong chose a man from the crowd, and called him Emozishi in a drunken manner. This man was the closest in height to her. The man did not say a word as he carried Chen Jingrong out of the bar, and headed straight to the hotel. This was an unspoken rule in the bar. As long as a man tried to hit on a woman and she responded, it meant that she agreed to spend the night with him. So, the man naturally assumed that Chen Jingrong wanted to spend the night with him. The couple rolled around on the bed. Only when the man finally entered her did he realize that Chen Jingrong was still a virgin. In fact, Chen Jingrong even called out Emozishi's name. As soon as the man heard this, he realized that he had become a substitute. Plus, he didn't want to spend the night with a woman who had done it for the first time. So he sat up in bed, tidied up the 2 women, paid for the hotel room and left. Chen Jingrong lay in bed drunk. She didn't have much of an impression of what happened the night before. All she remembered was that when she woke up, her body hurt. Especially in a certain special area. Could it be? Chen Jingrong panicked as she quickly ran out of the hotel. But as soon as she returned to the military base, she was faced with an even more severe punishment. She had left her post without permission. All of a sudden, Chen Jingrong found it hard to accept. But to confirm that she had actually been violated, Chen Jingrong immediately went to the hospital for an examination. Although there are signs of contact, your hymen is fine. There are no problems. So Miss Chen, you don't need to worry, the doctor replied honestly. After hearing this, Chen Jingrong almost broke down and burst into tears. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have gone to a place like a bar. Now she was suspended from work and was awaiting punishment. Her life had really become a mess because of Mozishi. Afterwards, Father Chen arrived at the military base and took Chen Jingrong home. For the sake of a man, you made yourself look like a ghost. Don't you have any shame? Chen Jingrong was in pain. What shame did she have? Now that the entire world knew that she had stripped naked and laid next to Mozishi, what shame did she have? Come home with me. I'll help you find a new place to start over, Father Chen demanded. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a daughter like you and you wouldn't have to worry about us two old geezers. This time, Chen Jingrong was very obedient and did not object. I'll go home with you. That's right. Mozishi had already left. What was the point of her staying here? But she wasn't satisfied that no one dared to cause trouble for Yao Anqi anymore. Yao Anqi also heard that Chen Jingrong had been taken away. If that was the case, would she be able to live in peace from now on? But Yao Anqi was completely wrong. Because a moment later, she received a notice from the hospital that she was going to be transferred to be a battlefield doctor. This was probably the last thing that Father Chen did for his daughter before he left. He wanted to get revenge on Yao Anqi. Dr. Yao, it seems the hospital has been pressured. If you don't agree to be a battlefield doctor, they'll make you leave the military hospital, the assistant said to Yao Anqi. Dr. Yao, it seems the hospital has been pressured. Chapter 1236. As soon as Yao Anqi heard about the incident, she removed her surgical gloves and headed straight for the hospital chief's office. Chief, I've already made my decision. I have a child, so there's nothing I can do about it. Anqi, your medical skills are actually very good, so I don't want you to leave either. But, Chief, you don't need to feel bad. After speaking, Yao Anqi pulled out her resignation letter and bowed deeply to the hospital director. Without waiting for a response, she turned around and left the office. She had plenty of opportunities to leave the military hospital, but because of Xingzhe, she didn't get to do so. Now that everything was ready, she naturally had to grab hold of the opportunity to advance. Of course, Yao Anqi did not tell Mozishi about her decision. After returning home, she spent 3 whole days with Xingzhe. On the 4th day, she finally went for an interview at Beijing Hospital with her resume. As she had been an ER doctor for many years, she had plenty of surgical experience. So Beijing Hospital treated her well and provided her with a lot of resources. This was something that she wouldn't be able to enjoy at the military hospital. Miss Yao, I don't doubt your abilities. But I have one question that I need you to answer for me. Chief, please go ahead. Yao Anqi replied politely. Why did you leave the military hospital? I was kicked out because I offended someone I shouldn't have, Yao Anqi replied honestly. Fine, Beijing Hospital welcomes you. After speaking, the hospital chief stood up and shook Yao Anqi's hand. Because of her outstanding abilities, Yao Anqi directly took over the position of chief after arriving at Beijing Hospital. A big hospital naturally became busier, but Yao Anqi felt unusually fulfilled. 7 days later, Mozishi was finally able to see his wife and son again. But during dinner that night, the first thing Yao Anqi said was, I left the military hospital. When did this happen? Mozishi asked. About half a month ago, Yao Anqi replied. I'm currently working at Beijing Hospital as the chief of the ER department. Mozishi did not say a word, but Yao Anqi could sense that the atmosphere was a little strange. It wasn't until late at night that Mozishi finally spoke as the couple lay in bed. Why didn't you tell me as soon as it happened? You don't think it's necessary, right? Angie, I admit that our beginnings weren't as good as everyone else's. But I've said it before, I'm willing to get closer to you. While I was training at the military base, every day, I thought about going home to see you in Xingzhe. I really wanted to be by your side. But you changed hospitals and didn't tell me, treating me like an outsider. At this moment, Yao Anqi was speechless. No matter how she tried to explain, she couldn't deny that she didn't inform Mozishi as soon as possible. That night, the couple looked at each other in silence. In fact, Yao Anqi had no idea when Emozishi left. Was she being too casual with Emozishi? Yao Anqi couldn't help reflecting on herself. Perhaps he was really angry, but after Emozishi left, he didn't return home for half a month. Yao Anqi was so busy that she didn't have time to give him a phone call. Perhaps her heart was simply too cold? That day, she had an operation at the hospital and was stitching up a patient. The patient asked Yao Anqi, "Doctor, you're so young. You don't have a partner yet, right?" "My child is already 3 years old," Yao Anqi replied. "Oh, I wonder what kind of man would be able to marry someone as outstanding as you." After Yao Anqi heard what the man had to say, she walked into the waiting room after the surgery was over and pulled out her phone. She felt that if she continued to be so indifferent, she and Emozishi would only be Xingzhe's parents for the rest of their lives. That was all. Meanwhile, Emozishi had already returned home. Seeing that Yao Anqi was calling him, Emozishi picked up the phone. "I thought you'd forgotten about me as your husband." "Zishi, don't be angry at me. You know that I've never been in a relationship before. Yet I suddenly became a mother. There are a lot of things that I don't know how to do, and I don't know how to maintain a relationship. I was born with a weakness in this area. So if I haven't taken the initiative, then please take the initiative. Don't blame me or be angry at me, okay?" After hearing Yao Anqi's words, the anger in Emozishi's chest finally dissipated. "If you had called me earlier, everything would have been fine. Men are actually easy to coax. It's not as complicated as you think. I have another operation coming up, so I won't talk to you any longer. Let's talk at home tonight." Emozishi nodded his head and reminded, "Go do what you need to do, I'll come pick you up later." Okay. In a relationship, someone had to be willing to take the initiative. Yao Anqi was well aware that her personality was lacking, and she was slow in this area. So taking this step wasn't easy for her. Afterwards, Yao Anqi returned to her post. As soon as her new assistant saw her phone call, her expression changed, so she immediately asked, "Was that a phone call from brother-in-law?" "I called him," Yao Anqi corrected. "I really want to meet brother-in-law. How outstanding does he have to be to marry our Dr. Yao?" "How outstanding does he have to be? He just needs to be able to fire accurately at the right moment. We got on the train first and paid the ticket later." Yao Anqi smiled at her assistant. It was rare for Yao Anqi's assistant to see her smile. After all, Yao Anqi was always quiet and cold. This time, it was because of Emozishi that she had a different expression on her face. "In that case, brother-in-law is amazing. All the more reason for us to meet him." Emozishi had no idea that the people around Yao Anqi were already talking about him. He had just coaxed Xingzhe to sleep, and was about to pick Yao Anqi up from work when he received a phone call from his former comrade. He called to ask about Yao Anqi. "How's Anqi been lately? I just heard that she left the military hospital because the Chen family pressured the hospital chief." As soon as Emozishi heard this, his expression changed. "Is this information reliable?" "Of course, a lot of people in the hospital know about it." "Why? Didn't Anqi tell you about it? How is she doing?" "She's doing great." After speaking, Emozishi hung up the phone and quickly drove over to Beijing Hospital. At this time, it was drizzling outside, and the weather was cold. Yao Anqi stood outside the hospital entrance, looking around every now and then. A colleague held up an umbrella and asked Yao Anqi if she wanted to leave with her. However, Yao Anqi shook her head because she had already spotted Emozishi. "Look, that's Dr. Yao's husband. He's tall and handsome." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.